Jared Bednar's getting his name on Stanley.
How great is that? How great is that?
Did you shut everything off? I'm not.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear any commercials though.
Yeah, it's on mono.
Okay.
You really want to hear that promo?
No.
Hey, are you all set up for Monday?
Oh, like 4th of July?
Yeah, like a best of show.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Do you have to come in?
Yeah.
I got to admit, if I were you, I wouldn't do it. I would, whichever stations then don't get the show, I would say, I'm sorry, it's on you. I really would. That's unfair to you.
Have you talked to Marty or the other producers on how they do it?
Hey,
whoa, your mic sounds weird.
Yeah, it didn't sound good.
Do we need to use this microphone?
Yeah, you might have to, actually. I'm not even kidding. And just make sure that mic 3 works when you get a chance.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. $20 seconds. All right, let's do this.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy Monday. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Final Monday of the month. Hope you had a great weekend, and thanks for starting your week off with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing well. Good weekend. Wife's birthday weekend, so we had a lot of fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? On a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of going all out?
I went all out because this event's coming to Tampa in August. And my wife, if anybody's listening to the show, knows is obsessed with gymnastics.
Yes.
So she got tickets to the USA Gymnastics Championships in August. They're not cheap.
No.
Holy cow.
Well, I mean, it is like the headline event of an Olympics.
But you got to buy all 8. You can't just get a ticket.
Mark, come on. They know they got you. If you're into the gymnastics, they're not going to let you just buy tickets to the finals.
They got me. That's for sure.
So they got you. So this whole big gymnastics thing's coming to Tampa for like what, 4 days?
4 days and
men, women, and then
men, women, children. I think there's a couple of goats that are doing some rhythmic
So-
gymnastics at some point.
So that's what she got. She got the whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada.
Is she solo, or is there room for others to go with her?
There's room for others to go with her, and there's rumors that I may have to go at least once.
Whoa, why is that? Why is that?
Well-
You provided the tickets.
I know, but I'm that loving husband that says, I'll go with you, honey. I'll go to one.
Now, is that what you say, or are you being roped into saying that?
No. That's what I said. I put it this way. It's not anywhere near a bucket list item, but it is the top level of that. So
Okay.
to go to one in person, might as well pick the best one to go to and call it a day.
And I'm just going to go out on a limb here. We have not talked about this, but since so much gymnastics is on the TV in your house, including best of from, 1996, that you have probably grown to appreciate gymnastics because you might as well. There's 8,000 hours of it on your TV a year.
Yes. I mean, and you're someone who likes the quirky sport here and there because
Sure.
you just appreciate the athleticism or
Very
the
much.
dedication and things of that. And you can't help but understand what great athletes these young ladies are and
Oh.
young men are that do that. And so, yeah, I definitely have a newfound appreciation for it.
Oh, okay. So not only, I'm assuming, is there, a nice weekend, probably some dinners involved and what have you, but then, a nice gift, and not only that, forward thinking gift. It's August.
Right.
Wow, job well done.
Well, thank you. Every
All
once in a
right.
while, I get this thing. All right. And I will tell you. So I went out to dinner, and the name of it's for a place called Liberty. It's really close to where you live.
Okay.
And I tell you that for this reason, is that after dinner, we were one of the last customers in the very small restaurant. And the two, you can watch them cook. You're basically your seats.
Oh.
Your seats are where you can see them cooking.
Okay.
And the owner, who was the head chef, was wearing a Dodgers hat. The sous chef was wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers hat. So we got to talking as to why. Turns out the owner's a big baseball fan.
Okay.
And so we spent the last half hour talking baseball.
Nice.
Now, the food level, David, is way over your palate. But given the fact that you could talk baseball while you're there, I thought that might suck you right in.
Mark, would you consider my median palate level to be quarter pounder with cheese?
Somewhere in there. Something between that and a double stack, you know what I mean?
So you strived above that, did you?
Just a touch.
For your wife's birthday dinner.
Just a touch.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, and happy birthday to your wife.
And I know you got out of town. You were cannonballing in pools this weekend.
Listen, this is, you've done this. You have a very well-to-do friend who lives on the East Coast of Florida who can damn near call the former president a neighbor, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's how well-to-do this very good long friend of yours is.
Yes.
Well, I don't have any friends like that. Okay.
It's good to have a friend like that.
Yeah, and you've come back and you've told some stories. I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. So, there's quote unquote my side of the family, which is not many people. I
Right.
mean, it's me and my mom.
Right.
That's it. And I mean, that's it. My mom's an only child. Both her parents are deceased. All right. My dad's been deceased for over a decade, and obviously his parents are deceased. I mean, my side is me and my mom.
It's a straight line.
Right.
That tree does not have a lot of branches.
Right. And Aunt Kathy counts because Aunt Kathy's been living with my mom for nearly 40 years. But I mean, you just go to one house in
Right.
Jersey. That's it. That's my side of the family. My wife's side, she's got a brother. All right. He had 3 kids. The oldest daughter, has a child of her own, got a mother-in-law. And so, there's a little bit to my wife's side.
Right.
And even though we all live within like 3 hours of one another, as oftentimes life is, believe it or not, we don't see one another a lot. I mean, I haven't seen my niece and 2 nephews and, the niece's daughter. I haven't seen them in a year. And I live 2.5 hours away. So, the idea was, hey, how about we plan an event, once a year, and we get together for a weekend. You go, oh, okay, great. And so, of course, if you live in Florida, the first place you think, where are you going to meet at? Where are you going to meet? Going to meet in Orlando, right? So, okay. So we started looking into hotels. And of course, they're very affordable.
Yes. Yes. A lot of deals.
Right.
I mean, they're basically giving them away.
Right. And by deals, it's like for me to donate plasma.
Correct.
Right. Deals.
In fact, they've now hooked those machines up in certain rooms so you can actually pay
Right.
multiple ways.
So if I give all 3 nights, do I get it at $289 a night? Right. So my niece found this development. And there might be many people listening who are familiar with this. I had never heard. It's a development that's got 2 water parks, a bunch of athletic fields, a place to eat, what have you. Every house is a mansion, basically. I mean, I'm talking 11 bedrooms, a movie theater, a game room, a pool with a hot tub. I mean,
With a hot tub?
With a hot tub. Yes. When you have all that other stuff, okay, you need to have a hot tub. So that's the
608. 608, everybody.
So that's what makes it okay. It has a hot tub. Okay, count me in.
Right.
So, and there's a bunch of us. I mean, there were like 11 adults and 2 children. And so anyway, she found this place and we said, you know what? It's probably, what it would cost to get a bunch of hotel rooms together, and maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but it's pretty convenient. So we did it. And we all showed up at this place at, around between 4 and 5 o'clock on Friday, about 5 miles, west of Disney, if you will. And we spent a couple days together. And it was glorious, and watched Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final in the movie theater. Thank you very much. With plush leather seats, place for your drinks. Heck, you can set up.
Wait a minute. A place for your drinks? Dude,
Right.
This house had it all.
Yes, it did. Once again, it's a hot tub and a cup holder.
Oh, my God.
Hey, don't laugh. How many of us go to certain arenas that don't have drink holders? So anyway,
the first 7 rows.
So yeah, that's kind of what our weekend was. And I felt like a famous athlete. I felt like a famous musician. Like, wow, so this people live like this. Damn.
Should have had one more night. You got 1 in a row for the Bolts. You couldn't get 2 in a row because you left the mansion.
No doubt. Needed to stay one more night for the Lightning, but couldn't afford it. Maybe next year. So yeah, and hopefully this is going to be a yearly thing.
Right on. Good for you.
Yeah.
Getting Moulton out of the 239, always a big deal.
I mean, swimming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, I don't know when's the last time I've, used my own pool 3 days in a row. So it was fantastic.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So you had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. Both got out and about.
Can you do me a favor right now? I need the numbers.
Done.
I need the numbers, David, because with last night,
That's it.
that's it.
Dun,
It's over.
dun, 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 dun,
It's certainly something like that.
dun, 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 dun. This is the end. The NBA and NHL seasons are over. This is the end. All right, here we go. 10 weeks from Thursday. That's when the NFL season kicks off. We're 73 days away from Bills and Rams. We are 66 days, Mark. 9 weeks from Thursday from Pitt, West Virginia, and the kickoff of the 5-day weekend extravaganza. That is week 1 of the college football season, 66 and 73. But if you're going to scratch that itch with Nebraska Northwestern from Ireland
I need it.
on week 0, the final Saturday of August, we are a mere 61 days
Right on.
away.
Right on.
So 61, 66, and 73, Mark. Those are your magic numbers.
Because last night, well, the Bolts gave it a hell of a run.
Gave it all they have, but the better team won.
They did. And Colorado was that better team. The Colorado Avalanche are your Stanley Cup champions.
Beating the Lightning in 6. And the Lightning afterwards, Stamkos goes, who says we're done? I mean, the whole core is coming back. And basically the Lightning said, wait until you see our injury list. You think you appreciate us now. Wait until we start telling the truth. And it's why it's the greatest in our estimation and hardest championship to win, because the battle of attrition is remarkable.
And Colorado managed, I thought, to stay not only, a little crisper, but a little healthier throughout.
Well, and when you take care of business like they do, 2 of their 3 series leading up to the finals were sweeps, hey, less attrition, that's a good thing. But hats off to the Avs, Stanley Cup champions, and hats off to the Lightning. What a great defense for the 2-time champions. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And I think what she's really going to want to know is, should we sell it as is, or should we make some minor adjustments, and will it significantly add, value?
The biggest answer I would have to that is no. More times than not, right now with this market, doing something's not worth it.
Okay.
Because what you're doing is you're spending money outside of painting walls white.
Well, that's just it. Like, our house is like beige, it's a very light beige living room. Those 1 or 2 walls in my bedroom that are dark green, should we just paint the whole house white?
I'll double
just
check, but my first inclination is no, because whoever buys it is going to do with it what they want.
Right. That's my thought. The other thing is, because of Rufus, the whole house needs a paint job anyway.
Right. But you're going to spend $3,000 to paint your house.
I know that.
And you're not going to get $3,000 back for
Well,
it.
I didn't think so. Besides pressure washing the lanai and pool cage and all that, and,
which you can pay for, or I can let you use my pressure washer if you want to do it yourself.
No, I'll pay. I appreciate it.
I thought that was the answer.
Can't read the top stories here. What the hell? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that last font was
Way too small. So,
but I learned a pretty good thing last week that I got to print out for you. Buck showed me on the computer how to do a comparative market analysis where I can take every house that's been sold within a mile of yours, throw out everything that's not in the villas, and literally show you every house that's sold, everyone that's pending.
Okay.
So you can see all the prices, all the ranges, and then we can pull up pictures of the ones that,
Right.
So you can actually.
So basically, though, Julie's going to ask you and say, tell us what to do. Okay. And if you ever get to the point where you think you need to bring Buckley to the house for a meeting to reassure her, because she's just going to inundate you with questions.
That's her job.
So she thinks.
The good news is that the odds are, if it's got the right price on it, when the sign goes in the ground, it should sell inside of 30 days.
Well, that's what I've been telling her for years. Well, certainly the last 2 years.
Now, the only thing that's affected things for houses at your price range is that interest rates have gone up.
Well, finally. We all got a little spoiled there.
Well, so you get that. And like Buck and I were talking and I did not read it. The Real Estate Trade magazine, they did an article that basically this is the lowest decade that we've ever had in the history of time.
Right.
Spitz, the cup is probably it's got to be the trophy that takes a beating the most.
Well, yeah, because they party with it.
Yeah.
Every player gets it for a day.
Really?
Yeah, every player gets it at their house or wherever they want for a day.
Well,
great.
and not just player, but coach and trainer. And, basically, they have to map out the schedule here pretty soon because there's only, between now and the start of training camp, there's only like 70, 75 days.
I wonder how many children have been baptized in the Stanley Cup or baby showers in the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Horses have eaten out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of alcohol has been drinking from it.
Old Chuck did that.
They show the wings there. Boy, you forget how good Konstantinov was.
Oh.
They interview his daughter. They interview him. That gets
Sure.
Have you guys ever seen the famous receipt after the Chicago Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup in 2013 or something, where they spent like $154,000 in a
Yes.
club?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Team I worked for when they won the championship at the AAA level, we dented that cup. Had to get, in fact, knocked the cup off the holster. Had to get it
Reattached.
Yeah.
There you go.
10 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Happy Monday. Final one of June. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good show lined up for you today. John Forslund will join us in the 8 o'clock hour, as will Garrett Bush. He covers the Browns. Deshaun Watson of the NFL actually going to sit down and talk to one another face to face beginning tomorrow. How about that? And Gary Ferman, who covers the Canes. Canes won a big recruiting battle yesterday. They didn't have the highest bid, however, but they won the battle anyway. We'll talk a little bit about it coming up later on in the show. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Well,
wait a minute, didn't have the highest bid.
no, they didn't. The Canes.
But you're not supposed to be able to give them money until they get there. How does
Exactly.
that?
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Once apparently this kid committed to the Canes and then received the $9.5 million offer, which is funny because then how could other schools have made higher bids? Remember, Billy Napier said just days ago, we're not going to get into bidding wars for players. Unless, I guess, they're 5-star quarterbacks out of California. Because the Gator Collective managed to have an $11 million offer out there. How'd they even know about the kid? He's not a Gator. He hasn't signed. How'd they even know about him?
Boy, it seems odd, David.
Right. So, and one of the kid's handlers said, no, he didn't take the highest offer. Don't get me wrong. He took a good offer, but not the highest. He just went there because, basically really liked Mario and the coaching staff. I mean, don't get me wrong. The offer was nice, but it was not the highest. And Mark, I don't want to say we're in a new day and age. I've never heard an agent say this about his college football athlete before he's ever played a down in college football, but he said he turned down millions. I mean, I feel like we're talking about SMU in the early 80s.
Get used to it.
Yeah.
Get used to it, folks.
Don't know. I mean, listen, the NCAA is in a tight spot for those of us that think they're going to try to screw Miami because let's face it.
If the NCAA is out for anything, it's to screw Miami.
Right. But how can they stick it to Miami when it's on the record that the Gators offer $1.5 million more?
Right. That seems like that's against the rules.
I mean, don't punish the school that the kid said yes to.
This decision has to be Exhibit A of the whole market.
Well, right.
The sexier market.
No,
no.
I think it's a coach that gets him to the NFL. I think that's what he believes. At the end of the day, when it's close offers, you got Cristobal versus Napier. I think Cristobal just has a little bit more gravitas at this point.
And also, if we go back to late last week with Arch Manning, I mean, Arch had been on the record as saying that amongst all the, quote, college towns, unquote, that he had visited, that Athens, Georgia was the best. And he said it's got to be the best college town in the country. And so that's why everybody went, ooh, he's going to go to Georgia. And no, at the end of the day, he chose the coach, basically, that he wanted to work with for the 3 years in between high school and the NFL. And that's why he chose Texas. If Steve Sarkisian was somewhere else, he likely would have chose somewhere else. But he did say, matter of factly, he goes, oh, man, Athens, Georgia, that's
Yeah.
No, he's, you know what? Pretty bright kid.
Yep. Seems like he's got everything going in the right direction. Can figure things out both on and off the field quickly.
Well, yeah, Georgia's one of the rare states where pretty much everyone in the state is a fan of one college football team. Because who the hell's a Georgia Tech fan?
Nobody.
Yeah, we've talked about that. There's about 151 people in the greater Atlanta area and a few of them who have moved elsewhere. But yeah, it's overwhelming. And you and I have talked because you spent time there and married into a dog family back in the day. But that, we think there are more Georgia Bulldog fans than there are Atlanta Falcon fans.
And I don't think it's close.
Oh, that I agree.
I don't think it's close. The Atlanta Falcons, they get the state, but it's an Atlanta team. Whereas Georgia's got, in Statesboro, they're not rooting for the Falcons the same way
right.
They're rooting for the Dogs.
By the way, and I don't know, did you dress the way you dressed today because of the 5-star quarterback taking the money and signing with the Canes, or was this just a Monday and this is what was clean and hanging up? And so you put on, because you've got a Canes hat that's big. It's gold.
This is a Dolphins hat.
That's a Dolphins hat? Oh, okay. I didn't see the logo on the side because that looks very, the green looks very Canes green.
Well, I am excited for football. That's why I wore this hat, because
there you go. 61 days away. 61 days away, Nebraska Northwestern. 66 away from week 1 of the college season. 73 away from Bills and Rams to kick off the NFL season. So, all right. And we weren't planning on going here, but, got a couple of minutes till we break. If you're the NCAA This is exactly what listen, we all think the NCAA is trash. But, 2-3 weeks ago, this was exactly what they did speak up about. They're like, in theory, this whole NIL thing, it was supposed to be after you chose school A. Then maybe they sit down and they make your life better. It wasn't supposed to be, see what you can get from A, B, C, and D, and give me the offers, and then I'll make a decision.
Outside of probation or scholarship reductions, I don't know what you do here, because you'd have to jump out and nail somebody if you're the NCAA.
Well, but also, let's be honest. Yes.
I mean, if they wanted to actually do something, they would have to jump out in front of this now. I don't believe they will.
But how do you, the offer, the financial offer, is coming before the decision is being made.
Right.
When in theory, the decision was supposed to be being made, and then, hey, let's see if we can give you a little something for your effort. Well, how are you ever going to flip that back? Honestly. I mean, if you're the NCAA, do you what? If we hear a whiff of using an NIL offer to entice a kid, we're going to crush you? So then everybody's going to have to do everything in secret, because it's not like they're going to stop.
I mean, basically, yeah, go back to what you were doing before, when all the money was in a bag, and offer that and make sure we don't find out about it. Because they're not, to your point, David, they're not going to stop.
No.
I don't know how you can stop the collective as well.
I mean,
because the handler will be talking to the collectives, the kid will be talking to the school.
Right.
We'll play this shell game and act like it's not happening.
All right, because remember, the collectives, John Ruiz, they don't have anything to do with the athletic department.
No.
Right. No. It's independent.
Rogue is the word we'll hear.
Independent.
When anything goes bad, it will be a rogue booster.
Right. Right. At which point John Ruiz is going to go, rogue? There's nothing rogue about me. I got an office. I got a number. I got an email. People are DMing me. There's nothing rogue. Oh, you want my phone logs? Mario called me 4 times yesterday. So can you do anything about this, honestly? Do you think there's a way to say, hey, come on now, this is not what we intended. We need to go to what we intended and somehow strike the fear of God?
Wait a minute, though. Stop right there. They never wanted any of this. They had no intentions. I mean, to your point, David, they didn't want this. They were forced into this. So the only way to do it would be to do exactly what you talked about and start coming up with massive penalties for people that are doing what they all are, which in essence is illegal.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's putting the horse before the cart before the horse, whatever. More on this a little bit later on in the show. Gary Ferman of Kane Sport. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is the I know the future son-in-law is a big NBA fan, but is he a Jags fan?
No, he's a Green Bay Packers fan. Here's the funny thing. He's a Sacramento Kings fan. And this year, when they traded Halliburton, he's like, that's it. I can't take it anymore. And so he spent the rest of the year rooting for the Heat. So after giving him a very hard time, I left him alone. And then when the draft came around, I said, okay, this is it. You're either back being a Kings fan or you've given them up for good, because they were on the clock at 4.
Right.
And I go, so are you watching the draft? And like the first 3 picks are going on and I'm texting him, are you watching the draft? He's like, yeah. I go, are you a Kings fan? He goes, it depends on who they take it for. I go, no. That's not how it works. Are you watching the draft right now as a Kings fan? And he texts back, yeah, I am. I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
All right.
Right there. Do that because I'm fearful that the ESPN in the background of my camera is going to get us in trouble. Now I feel better.
Yeah, okay.
Keegan Murray's not a bad pick either.
So
Keegan Murray isn't a bad pick either.
well, listen, Ivy scared the hell out of me. I mean,
They really passed up. That was kind of stupid.
but then again, I don't know why they traded Halliburton. So
Right, like if you're going to trade Halliburton, draft Ivy. But apparently not. I like this dude, Francis TFO. He's got swag. Plays. Oh, that's a terrible serve. Nice. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this for the next week. Wimbledon in the morning.
2.
I love. Yeah, too. I love Wimbledon.
It's just a warm up for the Open Championship.
There you go.
Although it's great about Wimbledon is it's
That's
every day.
Yeah, it is. I'm happy Serena's back because I always love catching her and Venus do doubles at least once.
Did you watch any golf yesterday?
You know, I had it on, but I didn't pay hardly any attention to it.
There were actually 3 tournaments yesterday.
Here we go.
And you had the U.S. You had
This-
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. 61 days away from Nebraska Northwestern. Week 0. For some of you, that counts. It's the start of the college football season. 66 days away from the Backyard Brawl and the official start of week 1 of the college football season. 9 weeks from Thursday. And 10 weeks from Thursday, 73 days away, Bills and Rams to kick off the NFL season. And if those of you, you training camps, Hall of Fame games, preseason games, if that counts for you, great. It doesn't count for Miller and Moulton.
No, I mean, we get excited when training camps open. Sure.
Excited?
Yeah, because it's another. I do.
Okay.
When players report, I'm like, all right, there's another. All right, we're inching closer. You get a Hall of Fame game, it's like, all right, we're inching closer. But I don't get excited over any preseason games. But I do like when all the teams are in camp and all of a sudden you have football news to talk about. Unfortunately, it's never good news.
No, it's guys getting hurt. Right. Or underperforming.
Or cut and picked up by other teams. I mean, at least there's, because we are now officially in the dead zone.
Right. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. That's what it is when NBA and NHL seasons are over.
Let me ask you something. The second Dolphins game I ever went to in my life was Cam Newton's first ever NFL preseason game. Does that mean anything?
No.
No. Doesn't mean squat. But I remember.
That's not really a game. You can't even count that as the second ever Dolphins game you went to. I mean, it wasn't a game.
Yeah, it wasn't. But he stepped on the field for the first time.
It was a scrimmage. It was a workout. They just sold tickets to it, beverages.
And tricked you into thinking that it was actually something that mattered.
Right.
People were like, oh, Cam Newton. And then a quarter went by, and then everyone's like, all right, let's get out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche, Stanley Cup champions, dethroning the 2-time defending champions from Tampa Bay in 6 games. Colorado a winner in Tampa last night, 2-1. Lightning scored first, led 1-0 after 1. It's remarkable how, Colorado obviously never trailed in winning the first 2 games. But then after that, the final 4 games of the series hardly led. I mean, they scored the first goal of game 3 and then didn't have a lead in regulation until midway through the second period last night. Because Tampa came back and drubbed them 6-2. Tampa was up 1-0 and 2-1 before losing in overtime in game 4. So the only time the Avs led was when they scored the controversial game winner. They never led in game 5. Lightning were up 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 final. And then last night, I mean, it's kind of weird to feel as if they were in control of the series the whole way, and yet they hardly led in any of the last 4 games.
Right, but even games that they trailed in, they were outplaying Tampa.
Right.
It felt as if they had the lead.
Avs scored 2 in the second one early, and then Arturi Lehkonen with the Stanley Cup winning goal 12 plus minutes into the second period. And remarkably, what was the question that we had about the Avs? Could they win a 2-1 game? Could they do what the Lightning figured out in the last 3 years when they made the change from ultra talented and high scoring and all that, and they could out 2-1 you? And sure enough, the Avs win the cup by winning a 2-1 game, and they held the Lightning to just 4 shots on goal in the third period. And really only 2 scoring chances, and only one of them led to a shot on goal.
They clamped up the Lightning last night. That was locked down.
10 plus minutes at the start of the third period. The Lightning didn't even have a shot on goal. The first shot on goal was a dump in from half ice. Third ever Stanley Cup title for the Avs, first in 21 years. Ironically, the Avs clinched all 4 series on the road. Cale Makar, their uber-talented 23-year-old defenseman, won the Conn Smythe Trophy. That's Stanley Cup playoff MVP, for those of you that don't know. Nathan McKinnon did have a goal and an assist. There were 4 one-goal games in the series, and the Avs won 3 of them. There you go.
So there's a playoff MVP. Is there a Stanley Cup Finals MVP?
No. Nope. It's for the whole playoffs. In fact, I don't know the voting, but the best player in the league, Connor McDavid, plays for Edmonton. They made it to the conference finals. He ended up leading all playoff scorers in scoring.
Wow.
Even though he didn't play in the Stanley Cup final. And some of us are wondering, did he receive any Conn Smythe votes?
I hope not. I got to play in the finals to get an MVP vote.
Jared Bednar, head coach of the Colorado Avalanche, becomes the first in professional hockey history to coach an ECHL, an AHL, and an NHL team to championships. Kelly Cup, Calder Cup, and now Lord Stanley's Cup. Give it up to the Lightning. What a remarkable 3-year run. What a great 8-year run this has been. 6 conference finals, 4 trips to the finals, 2 wins, 2 losses, both losses in 6. And Stamkos looked at everybody at the podium last night and says, who says we're done? I mean, he looked right at it. He goes, the whole core is coming back. The core's pretty good, you know. And he did say, wait until you see the injury list. Just wait. All right. That giving the appearance of impression of
Smoke and mirrors, baby. We were just strung together with duct tape for this final.
Right. We were spit. So congratulations to the Avs, and in the coming days we will find out just how banged up the Lightning were. NFL news. Deshaun Watson's going to have a hearing with the league beginning tomorrow. There are reports, Mark, he's going to miss the whole year. First off, that'll be 2 full seasons minimum that he doesn't play. Number one, that in and of itself, I mean, this
Yes.
mid-20-year-old star quarterback, not superstar, but I mean, come on. He's at the time
that he walked away, too.
he was top 5 in the league.
Yes.
And even now, he'd probably rate top 7, top 8, top quarter of the league. Never mind the fact he's the highest paid guy in the league. So we'll see where that goes beginning tomorrow. Saints signed linebacker Demario Davis to a 1-year extension, so he's under contract for 3 more years. He could earn an additional $18 million over those 3 years. His 2024 salary is going to be $10 million, and then they threw in a bunch of $2 million yearly bonuses and a roster bonus. So the Saints taking care of one of their own. Mark, you may have missed it over the weekend, but the USFL championship game is set.
I knew the playoffs were going on. It just happened to be that I saw it on Twitter.
And the semifinals took place in Canton, Ohio.
Right.
Birmingham needed their fields and their hotel rooms back because the World Games are starting in a couple weeks.
Will attract far more people than the USFL did.
You got that right. So
And by far more people, we mean 6.
Philadelphia and New Jersey were one semifinal, the Stars and the Generals, the Stallions and the Breakers. Birmingham and New Orleans was the other semifinal.
Birmingham had to play a roadie.
They did for the first time, but they won. Philadelphia upset New Jersey after losing to them twice during the regular season. They got a punt.
My God.
And Birmingham beat New Orleans. So Sunday at Hall of Fame Field. Okay, they did. They upset.
What was the point spread?
I don't know, but they were an underdog. New Jersey had won 9 in a row and had beat Philly twice. 1914 Philadelphia, 31-17 Birmingham. It's the Birmingham Stallions against the Philadelphia Stars, Mark. How ironic would it be? I mean, this is the Stars. Remember the first year of the original USFL? Wasn't it Michigan and Philadelphia in the final?
That sounds right.
So here's Philadelphia all these many years later.
Looking to repeat.
Golf. Listen, nobody can choke away a major like Lexi Thompson. I'm sorry. It just has to be said. All right. The Floridian, the American, and she's terrific. Great player, Hall of Famer. But, man, she I know she came from 7 back on Saturday, but that's because Ingi Chun was choking away a major. But Lexi had a 2-shot lead with 3 holes to play and managed to bogey a par 5 where she was sitting right in front of the green in 2, and then 3-putt from 15 feet on 17. Chun, meanwhile, birdied 16 to rally and win the what used to be called the LPGA Championship and now is the Women's Championship, right? Xander Schauffele won the Travelers by 2. He hadn't won anything in 3 years. And U.S. Senior Open, Padraig Harrington held off Steve Stricker to win by 1. Stricker threw a 65 on the board, made Harrington basically par his way in down the stretch.
Well, it was after Padraig did the same thing on Saturday.
Right.
And was up by a bunch.
By the way, Matthew Wolff and Carlos Ortiz are leaving the PGA Tour to join the LIV Series. Matthew Wolff's 23. Also, the LIV convinced the number 2 ranked amateur in the world to go pro and join the LIV. So they're going after the younger guy.
That is the MO of what Norman's doing. From rumors, he is all over these college kids and these good amateurs, and he's trying to build his tour that way.
Major League Baseball. Rays sweep the Pirates 4-2.
Nothing like having the Pirates come to town when things are going badly.
Shane McClanahan, 7 innings, gave up just 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts. He's 8-3 on the season. Wander Franco came back off the injured list during the series. Nick Fortes, a rookie. 2 outs, nobody on, tie game, bottom of the 9th. He homers to beat the Mets for the Marlins, 3-2, and avoid the sweep. Dodgers scored 2 in the 9th off former longtime Dodger Kenley Jansen, and then beat the Braves 5-3 and 11. Red Sox have won 7 in a row. They're in second in the East, 8-3 over the Guardians. That's pretty impressive. Swept the Guardians.
Swept the Guardians.
Just like that, have lost 4 in a row. Twins, meanwhile, their lead is 2 in the Central. They beat Colorado 6-3. Yankees got a game-winning home run from Aaron Judge. Imagine that. In a 6-3 extra inning win over Houston. Those 2 teams split the 4-game series. If this is going to be the ALCS, sign me up.
Oh, man. I mean, they get no hit. The Yankees do on Saturday.
And they're no hit deep in yesterday's
7
game.
innings.
Right.
They went 16 innings without, well, I think Stanton ended up getting a hit in the 7th, but they went almost 16 innings without a hit.
Milwaukee 10-3 over Toronto. They have a 1-game lead over the Cardinals, who lost to the Cubs 6-5 and 10. Phillies beat the Padres, but Bryce Harper got hit by a pitch Friday night, broke his left thumb. Ooh, don't know how the Phillies are going to overcome that.
You see what he said about that? He said, I wish it hit my face.
That's because he got hit in the face a couple years ago and played through it. White Sox 4-3 over Baltimore. Angels 2-1 over Seattle. They had a brawl.
Yes, they did.
8 ejections, a 20-minute delay. We'll talk more about it later on. Arizona, Cincinnati, Washington, and Oakland also winners. College World Series, congratulations to Ole Miss. They won the national championship. They swept from Oklahoma, 4-2 the final yesterday. The first ever men's national championship in the history of Mississippi. Chase Elliott won the NASCAR race, which was rain.
Just ended.
Yeah, lightning delayed until midnight. Ross Chastain finished 5th. And Wimbledon is underway. And Jaden Rashada is the 5-star quarterback who chose Miami over the Gators, even though the Gators offered him $11 million and Miami only offered him $9.5 million. So there you have it. And that was the starting 5. Now we're up against it time-wise. No music.
Oh, okay. I got my back to the producer today.
No, I know. That's why you don't know. I thought I'd let you know. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
So, David, I think you, as a huge fan of fast food, should go as one of the McDonald Land characters on Bourbon Street after the game. I'm thinking Grimace.
Well, I've got the body type, the big round face. I was always a big fan.
I mean, you're more of a Hamburglar by nature, but body type, you're more of a Grimace.
I like it. So you want me to drag this costume into the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans?
I
Okay.
want you to wear it in the booth, but I don't think that'll go over well. I think if you walked up as Grimace and stood next to Aikman in the booth, I think he'd fire you on the spot. And I don't think Buck would be able to do the broadcast. He'd laugh for 3 straight hours.
Thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. All right, I got a short segment, dumb thing here. That's a good, bad, and ugly type story if we want to have some fun. Apparently,
Sure.
at the conference at some conference, whatever the Mars conference in Vegas, Amazon unveiled they're in development to say that apparently your Alexa, Amazon's Alexa can replicate the voice of family members even if they're dead. Would you really want a dead relative talking to you through Alexa? I don't think I would. I think that's creepy as hell.
Wait, say that again.
Well, I'll give it to ESPN because remember they covered the Australian Open from the studio
Yeah.
for the last couple of years, but they sent everybody to Wimbledon.
Can you pull your phone out there quickly and tell me what Garrett Bush's Twitter handle is?
It is G Bush 91.
Here we are. All right, got him. Browns. And Gary is.
Pain Sport.
Oh, that's his Twitter handle?
Yep.
And now you got me thinking about the one time that I've ever driven through like the sticks of Georgia. Just the sheer amount of G's that I saw everywhere. G, G, G. Bulldogs, Bulldogs. Ugga. Have you ever met Ugga?
Well, meeting him, I mean, like, have been next to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, we're coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of June. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll get a poll question up there, at some point.
Will we?
I have a poll question actually.
Well,
So-
you have a nomination for a poll
I have a
question.
nomination for a poll question.
So we just had a 7-minute commercial break,
Right.
and he didn't bother to
No.
ask us at all about the poll question. We come on the air.
Hey,
Hey, I got a poll question.
All right.
I just remembered right now. I'm
very
sorry.
quickly. All right, nominate. What do you got?
It better be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of pressure.
If it's the NBA,
No. It's actually NHL. Throughout the Stanley Cup Finals, I have watched the games.
what's
with
the
a different-
question?
The question,
Do you
please.
like the Avalanche uniforms? Yes or no? Because
That's his poll
We
question.
got 19 people to vote on that.
No, people are saying that it's either ugly and atrocious or that it's classic and amazing. And I don't know what side I'm on.
Wow.
Wow.
We'll have to leave that for the Twitch chat room. You can follow the show on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, and we'll be more than happy. You can text into the show. We'll be more than happy to read maybe the one response we get. FSN Radio, it's all one word. If you have never texted us before, text FSN Radio to 21,000. And then Felipe wants to know whether or not you think the Avs uniforms are pretty or ugly. There you go. As KW said in our Twitch chat room, pretty, ugly, C, don't care. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Thank you, Felipe. You're in the penalty box for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Feel free to sit back, put your feet up, and watch Wimbledon there in your studio.
In fact,
which is
it's not just
underway.
a penalty; it's a 10-minute misconduct.
Oh, really? Wow.
Dimed him up.
Well, I will say a 10-minute misconduct is just the rest of the segment.
Exactly.
So that's not. Just put your feet up, enjoy Wimbledon. It'll be on for the next 2 weeks. Hence the reason they call it a fortnight. So Serena in it doesn't have an easy draw, by the way. Unseeded. I mean, she is ranked like, I don't know, 1,000 or whatever it is. I mean, you don't play in a year. I guess you lose a lot of ranking points. It's kind of like joining the LIV series. Once you join that, man, you don't get a whole lot of ranking points. Did you see, by the way, quick tangent, what the formerly known as the European Tour, but the DP World Tour did over the weekend? They didn't suspend, but they fined the Euros who joined the LIV series. And they did ban them from playing in the 3 events that
They are
co-sponsored
right.
with the PGA Tour, but they also said they can't play the Scottish Open.
Well, that was one of the 3.
Right. But think about this. Why, if you're running that tour, why are you going to choose the PGA Tour?
Look, I don't know if they are yet. They have 3 events that they are partnered with the PGA Tour. One of them, which is the Scottish Open. The other 2 are the Barbasol and the Barracuda Championships. So they haven't said anything about their events that they own outright, if you will. And I'm with you. If I'm the DP World Tour, why am I banning these guys?
Well, and why am I even fining them? I mean, just go along with, play nice with the PGA Tour. Okay, co-sponsored. You're in war with them. We get it. We'll back you up. But on the side, I mean, you could probably get these Euros to play a few of your events. There's rumors out there that some of the Americans want to play in a few of the European Tour events for world ranking points. Remember Brooks Koepka spent 2 years playing on the European Tour. I mean, if you're running that tour, why would you play hardball with them? And no offense, the PGA Tour actually helped break your tour down. They put so much pressure on these guys to have to play on the PGA Tour that all of them stopped playing on your tour. Why would you do anything more than what you're probably contractually obligated? Wouldn't you want Sergio and Poulter?
100%, because they're all still draws on your tour. That's the other side of this.
Right.
Their eyeballs on TV, their tickets sold.
Yes.
They're popular players over there.
Yeah. Not only that, I mean, how far are you going to take this? You're going to ban these guys from playing in the Ryder Cup? I mean, seriously, over there. How far are you going to go here? Because, as we just saw in the last 12 hours, Carlos Ortiz, who won the Houston Open a little over a year ago, and Matthew Wolff, who's all of 23 years old, finished top 4 in 2 majors just 2 years ago. They just left the PGA Tour to go play in the LIV series beginning this coming week in Portland. Apparently, by the way, there's protests in Portland. Apparently, it's not just the whole, where the money is coming from and what have you. I guess there was a University of Oregon student who was killed by, I don't know if it was a drunk driver, but killed by a driver. And it was a young Saudi student. And it is believed that the Saudi, and this was like 6 years ago, and it was believed that the Saudi government, because they took all his passports away from him and they put an anklet around him and he couldn't leave the country. Well, the kid disappeared. And it was a story that was even on 60 Minutes a few years ago. And the feeling is the Saudi government arranged for him to leave. And so, of course, he hasn't faced any punishment. So the locals are protesting twofold. Now, I got to admit, the whole money thing, whatever. That's my view on that. I got to admit, you know what? The whole killing the kid and if the government helped flee him, you know what, man? I'll back you on that one. You want to get upset? Okay. A lot of things to get upset about these days, but I'll back you on that one.
Look, it's a tragic story. There's no way you can try to play counterpoint.
No.
But there are plenty of governments and agencies who have done similar things.
I understand
and
that.
We could probably find a few with our own. That's
I'm sure we could just watch a recent 60 Minutes and find something similar. Yes,
probably.
But just saying, I mean, if you're gonna protest, you know what? That's a good one, and it's local. Remember, all politics are local.
Right.
So that's localizing the dispute. But we digress. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Promise, coming out of the next break, we will have a poll question.
I've got one. I've got an idea, but we got to work it through the break. Because I would be throwing it out there without any backing to the question, if you know what I'm saying.
All right, we'll vet it during the commercial break. John Forslund will join us at the top of the hour as we put the hockey season to bed. The Lightning extended it 48 hours for us. That was nice of them. It really was. For some of us, we were looking for something to watch on Sunday night.
Early goal last night probably got the Lightning fan excited, thinking, oh, boy, are we going to get a game 7?
And then they didn't get a whole lot of shots on goal the rest of the way. And the Avs kind of skated them into the ground, and they had more than the Lightning did in this series, and they won it in 6, and they earned it. They deserved
every bit of it.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. What a great run for the Lightning. 2 cups back to the final. And Steven Stamkos after the game, what do you mean we're done?
Right.
We're not going anywhere.
I'm coming back. Victor Hedman, you coming back? Vasilevsky, you coming back?
Kucherov, how about you? You going to play next year?
You good?
Okay.
Now, I will say Palat, who's the third member of their number 1 line, he's an unrestricted free agent, and the Lightning have been pretty creative when it comes to the cap, and nobody seems to be able to figure out a way that they're going to be able to keep him. So, the core is slowly getting smaller, and it is getting older. But is it too old? I mean, the goalie's 28, right? Has Hedman turned 30 yet? Nah, he's got a lot of mileage on those tires. But, I mean, I think Hedman's like 30.
But Stamkos is older, but he's coming off the best year
of his
career.
You could argue, even though he had a 60-goal season one year, but I mean, 105 points, and he's a tremendous two-way player. They had a stat in like the last 4 games of the finals that only 2 players for the Lightning took faceoffs.
Paul and Stamkos.
That was it.
And they were winning 58% of their draws as well.
Right. But they were down to 2 guys who could take faceoffs. That was it.
What a run. What an incredible run for Tampa Bay. And who are you going to name the Eastern Conference favorite right now?
Tampa Bay.
Right.
I mean, close. I mean, because I will say this. Toronto's going to be a trendy pick. When you think about, obviously, the Lightning go all the way to the final, and the Lightning beat the Leafs by a goal. And I don't just mean in Game 7. I mean, Game 6, the Leafs leading the series, leading in the third period, and that game's decided in overtime. I mean, that series, you want to talk about splitting hairs.
Absolutely. And Florida's going to be better. I mean,
well, they'll certainly be better in the postseason, right?
The Rangers are going to keep getting better.
Should be good. Carolina will be very good. Don't know if they're going to have the star power to knock off the top teams, but they are very good. They're very solid.
But there's still only one Vasilevsky, and he plays in Tampa, so they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard when you pick favorites for the Eastern Conference next year.
But hockey season over, NBA season ended a week earlier. Hell, they've already had their draft. You know, they're moving on to free agency. We'll say big week, Mark. Big week. All right. Players have to decide by Wednesday whether or not they're opting in or opting out. Because Mark, I don't know about you, but when you've got the 36 and $44 million options, I mean, it's tough to play for that kind of money. I mean, it just is. I mean, it feels a little insulting. I mean, you mean I can't get a multi-year deal? I have to play with just a 1-year contract that pays me $6 to $7 million a month.
I mean, they are finally starting to get to Premier League type money in the NBA.
And they will going forward, because this whole super, max deal. I mean, Miller and Moulton. John Forslund, though, to join us at the top of the hour. Gary Ferman in 2 hours here on Miller and Moulton.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The young lady who used to have the office here.
Yes.
Is she on air?
Yes.
Okay. And then she walks down the hall and
Does a K-Rock show.
why does she only do it till 1? What do they run from 1 to 2? Yeah,
She only on 10 to 1?
that's what I thought. But I would think she's on 10 to 2.
Unless they just go commercial free 1 to 2 leading into Stan and Aney. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
That would mean I'd listen to terrestrial radio.
It must be raining, I guess. If they're showing us last year's men's final.
Was about to say the same thing. Portland's protesting, and I was going to say, when are they not
Yeah,
protesting?
you know what?
How's I'll wait till we're not for this, but when are we not protesting? This protest.
Are we protesting or are we just bitching and complaining and screaming and yelling at each other?
After
I will say this weekend.
After last week.
No. After Friday.
Yeah,
No. It's just we got a little something going on now.
I mean, David, they're trying. They're really trying to let the Democrats win.
They're
They're
trying
doing
hard.
everything
They really can.
do.
Yeah, they're just. We think you guys suck so badly. We think we can win, even if we do this.
Yeah, we're spotting you 30.
Yeah.
And we're just going to play the second half.
Right. By the way, in fact, we've posted our score. We don't think you can beat us. In fact, we know you can't beat us. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
Good luck.
And we still don't think you can win.
It's fascinating.
Good.
If it wasn't so damn depressing.
Yeah. Oof.
Thank God you had that house for the weekend.
You're damn right. Oh, my God. Although I will say the ride there wasn't pleasant.
I can't imagine it was.
No.
So, by the way, that restaurant I was at literally is right next to your house.
Huh.
It's between, you know where that Saigon place is behind Outback?
Yeah.
It's between Outback and the Saigon place. It's not much bigger than this studio.
Wow.
I mean, 5 booths, a table, and 10 seats at the bar. It's the whole restaurant.
So it's like Crave then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good.
What do they do?
All small plates. Basically all appetizers, David.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
.21 after the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Hats off to the Avs and hats off to the Lightning for a spectacular defense of being the two-time defending champion. They say they're not done. Who are we to say that they are? Apparently, the Lightning third oldest team in the league, though, average age of 29 is information that was sent to us. Hedman's 31. He'll be 32 in December. We were talking, Stamkos is 32. Hedman's 31. Ryan McDonough's got a lot of miles on those legs. He could use an offseason. I can't wait to see what all their injuries are, though. I know it's a very twisted, messed up thing, but you know that it's going to be a staggering list.
Well, the war of attrition, as we talk about it, is harder and harder to get just through these playoffs. And that's why I give Colorado so much credit. They kept playing better and better. They kept skating. And a lot of it was to do with the fact that they had 2 sweeps in there. And you got to give Bednar and the Avalanche some credit for that 9-6 game against Edmonton. in game 1 of their conference final when it didn't even look like they knew how to play defense.
Right.
And they tightened up after that.
Yes, they
They
did.
changed their style. They were no longer going to play a 1980s brand of hockey, and they tightened up defensively and got it done against Edmonton and then got it done against the Bolts.
And the Lightning have just finished playing the most playoff games in a 3-season stretch in the history of the league. Because if you go back, I mean, first round back in the 70s was best of 3. And then into the early 80s, it became best of 5. And then, you do 3 series, and depending on how long they go. And so the Lightning just played more playoff games in a 3-year stretch than any team in the history of the league. So talk about guys who could, even though they desperately wanted to be playing tomorrow, talk about a group that could use an off season. And it'll be abbreviated at that, because here we are in the last week of June, and normally the Cup's decided before Father's Day. So
with the longest season in the history of the league, with the 3-week break that ended up not being a break.
And remember it, right? This started during the pandemic year, where the Cup was damn near what? Was it early September?
Yes.
Late September that the Cup was awarded? Right. So been a remarkable, brutal run for the Lightning, and we'll see how much they have in the tank. And I don't even think we should pay attention to them for the first half of next year, honestly. Because if you're the Lightning at this point, it's just like, hey, we just need to get in. I mean, as Cooper said afterwards, well, we didn't have home ice in a single series. We just came 2 wins away from winning the Cup. We didn't have home ice in any of our 4 series.
Incredible.
So with that in mind, basically, if they get in, whatever, we'll take it from here.
All right, I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit, because I saw this story, and I think it can lead to a poll question for us, David. At the Mars conference in Vegas, where they're doing all of the unveiling of all the technological
Is that what that
things,
is?
yeah.
Okay.
Amazon unveiled the newest development with their Alexa, where in the video played by Amazon at the event, a young child says, "Alexa, can Grandma finish reading me The Wizard of Oz?" And it switches to another voice. They are now saying that with less than a minute of recordings, it can mimic any voice, including that of someone who has passed. So if we want the dead grandmother here to read Wizard of Oz to the granddaughter, it can be done if you have a recording of that voice. So I ask you, David, would you want dead relatives talking to you via Alexa?
Sure.
Would you change Alexa to be? You were very close with with both your grandparents, but your grandmother passed more recently than your grandfather.
Right.
So if instead of saying, Alexa, how's the day today? And it was grandma's voice saying, it's going to be 82 and lovely, David.
Here's a question. Could you get somebody else's dead relative? What if I want a British accent, to be talking to me?
You can do anything, any voice that you want, as long as you've got a little bit of recording of said voice.
What if I want George Carlin?
That seems like that would be now you're on to something, because there are plenty of recordings there.
Exactly.
As long as he could be snarky when he spoke to me.
I'm not going to get George Carlin who's not snarky. I mean, there's no reason to have George Carlin, even though one of his last roles was in a movie with Ben Affleck and J-Lo, in which he was terrific. But no, I want snarky George Carlin, for goodness sakes. So dead relative is the voice.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Here's why. I think it gives people comfort. The old adage, if I could, just hug them one more time, or, see them one more time. And okay. I mean, I don't need it per se.
I think it's creepy.
Oh, well, it could be that, but I think, okay, so comfort or creepy, are those the two? No, I'm being serious. Okay.
I know you are.
That if we worded the question as if to say, Amazon is going to have new technology, and what, it's not Siri, it's what?
Alexa.
And Alexa's going to be the voice of a dead person in your life.
Right.
All right. Would you find that A, comforting, B, creepy?
Exactly.
And while I think it's both, I actually think I would find it more comforting. Because here's the other thing. Then I can start having a conversation with them.
But then you got to call your dead relative Alexa. See, that would be, it's not, you're not even saying grandma, you're saying Alexa, how's your day? And then you're getting a voice back that's not.
Well, but that's okay. I mean, we all have nicknames for people in our lives. So now we just changed the nickname of grandma to Alexa. I mean, that's okay. I could do that. But yeah, I could then end up having a conversation, which would turn into an argument, all right, with a dead relative.
I do like the idea of Carlin talking to me in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Think of the people that we could have be Alexa in our life.
Well, and that's what's coming in the Twitch chat room. They're going, obviously they're doing James Earl Jones and Morgan Freeman and some of those. You can just have Caliendo do all those for you. But whether it's Cronkite, the great news voices of our past.
Absolutely. Mongo in our Twitch chat room recommends Robin Williams.
I can't lie. James Earl Jones seems like a good choice.
I don't think it's ever a bad choice for a voiceover.
Yeah. Mufasa speaking to me every morning.
I'm okay with it, though. I get that you could find it creepy. I get it. But, I mean, there are people, though, that save messages from somebody and they have a message on their phone and they never erase it. Why? Because it's somebody near and dear to them who's now passed and you get to hear their voice. I actually think we have something in our television that goes, back like 15 years with my grandmother and our daughter. And, it's a video that we have and then we haven't deleted it. So yeah, I'm actually okay with it. I'm okay with it. I would not find it creepy. I would be like, oh, wow. Technology is something these days.
You've got something there. But
you would find it creepy. Your dad. Okay. Alexa could be your dad's voice.
Yeah, that would be weird. Really weird.
Yeah, but think about it. I mean, you guys could pick up some of the discussions that you have. I mean, golf on a Sunday, and you could just want to talk about it with Fred, a Michigan State game.
No, I'm with, and I do already. I don't know if I need him answering.
That's funny.
So I think I would be fine with it if it was someone I didn't know. Not personally. If it was a voice from sports, if Howard Cosell was giving me the weather every morning, that would be fantastic. Well, Mark, it's going to be 92 degrees and very humid. And you're listening to Miller and Moulton. I wish I could carry through with that. I don't know if I can get it to on the Florida Sports Network. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Voice as Alexa. A, comforting. B, creepy. Heidi's dad said, I wish you guys would quit saying Alexa. Adam goes, then I could get my dad to assume the car navigation voice and yell at me for missing a turn.
Apparently, you can change Alexa's name to anything you want, too. That's good to know. That's fantastic. I'm going to really piss my wife off. I'm renaming Alexa Fred.
That's funny.
That makes me smile. Fred, set a 2-minute timer. That's really all I use. I mean, Alexa spies on me 24/7, and all I really use her for is to do a timer so I know when to flip steak on the grill.
Gotcha. Morning, Rick. Costa Rica, huh?
Coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. John Forslund to join us at the top of the hour as we put a bow on the tremendous hockey season that it was, wrapped up by the Avs winning the Stanley Cup last night in Tampa in Game 6, dethroning the Lightning, two-time defending champions looking for a three-peat. Hats off to the Avs. They were the better team. They earned it. 4 one-goal games in a row to end the series, right? Well, no, 3 of them. Games 4, 5, and 6, all one-goal games. Game 1 went to overtime, so 4 of the 6 were one-goal games. Avs won 3 of them. Pretty big reason why they are the Stanley Cup champions. John Forslund at the top of the hour. Wimbledon, by the way, is underway, although they played for 30 minutes maybe, 40 tops, and then play was suspended on all the outer courts. It's going to resume at the top of the hour is when they say play is going to resume at Wimbledon. What we don't understand is why it is we're watching highlights of matches from the past, considering center court and court 1 have roofs. I mean, why did they stop those matches?
Can't help you, David.
So
the other thing I can't help you with that we talked about earlier that I'd like to get back into is what the hell, if anything, the NCAA is going to do about NIL and athletes, reps, shopping players to the highest bidder, which is supposed to be the opposite of what's going to happen.
Jaden Rashada is a 5-star quarterback prospect from the state of California, and he chose the Miami Hurricanes yesterday over a few schools, but the school that finished second was the Gators. Here's the irony. The first headline you hear is, well, Rashada chose the Canes because he got a $9.5 million NIL deal. Wow. Damn. Canes bought themselves a quarterback. Well, actually, the Gators offered him more money. Now, it wasn't the Gators, wink, wink, that offered him more money. It was the Gator Collective that put an $11 million offer in front of Rashada. And he, according to his agent, yes, that's where we are, according to his agent, said, nah, he just connected with Cristobal and the Canes coach is better. So he actually turned down millions more to sign with the Canes.
And I think one of the words that you just said there is one I want to focus on for a second, is agent. And I'm not even being smart, David. You see, in the NFL, you can't just become an agent. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through and to be accredited as an NFL agent.
Right.
You don't to rep any of these kids that are going to colleges.
Correct.
Is that the first thing that needs to be done? To try to put a handle on the handlers? And I don't know how you do it. I am literally spitballing because, David, this is not what they wanted. This is their lack of doing any proper work ahead of time has gotten us to a situation where 17-year-olds are shopping themselves around for the highest bidder or the second highest bidder with a good coach, whatever the case may be. But these handlers are not agents. They're player reps.
Yeah, but I understand. But also sometimes, one of your parents or your parents could serve as your agent, so to speak. And as you mentioned, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, they are technically minors. And can the NCAA really legislate who it is that can be a minor's agent? Because, Arch Manning made his decision before his senior year of high school. I mean, these kids can decide a year out.
Right. And Arch Manning's probably the one we should never focus on because the NIL money, no matter how ridiculous it's going to be, wasn't necessary. It's not why he chose the school.
Right. Family's well off. His dad, Cooper's well off. Yeah. It's irrelevant. I don't know what the NCAA can do here. I really don't, because they don't have the staffing. They don't have an investigative division. We've joked their idea of investigating someone is to scour the internet. What is it that Charles Robinson from Yahoo is writing about? Did you see Andy Staples' column in The Athletic? I mean, that's their idea of investigating. Hey, so-and-so on Twitter has maybe, given us a lead that we should watch the University of Missouri program closely. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. And they don't really want to. I mean, the NCAA, this is a tough spot for them, Mark, because now they feel they didn't want to supervise this sport in any way, shape, or form. And now they want to come in, even though NIL affects other sports of which they are supervising. But right now, where is it most ingrained? It's football. And this is a sport that the NCAA does not supervise, except for the rules, except for eligibility. I mean, I got to be honest. If I'm the NCAA, I don't think I can get my hands around this. I would just be like, listen, when it concerns football programs, we don't even determine the eligibility of football programs. We will enforce and determine the eligibility of all the other sports. Now, we will enforce the eligibility of 1AA, D2, D3, because we handle their championships. But when it concerns Division 1A college football, we're completely out. All right. Doesn't matter to us if they go to school, don't go to school, cash coming in, going out. Don't care. We don't have anything to do with it. They haven't wanted anything to do with us for nearly 40 years. You know what? We're tired of even having something to do with them. In fact, I don't even think you should call it an NCAA championship. I mean, that's how far I would go if I was the NCAA.
And I love it. You know that's not what they're going to do. But we both believe this is the beginning of major college football breaking away from the rest of college athletics at some point, whether it's whenever we expand the playoffs, whether it's sometime in the next decade. But you and I both believe college football because they've told us. It's not that we believe it. They've told us they're leaving.
Well, I think their actions / inaction over the last few years has, made their case for them. Mello in our Twitch chat room says, could you imagine having an agent in high school? Would be great to break up with a girl. The agent walks up and says, Bobby is done with you. Cease all contact immediately.
Or the agent stopping into the teacher. Bobby'd like the answers to this week's math test ahead of time, please.
Hey, I'm just letting you know, Bobby's not going to be here for the rest of the week. All right. Yeah. Bobby's out of town working out, going to be in Irvine, and then going to be in Fresno, and then heading over for the weekend in Salt Lake City. So if you can get like his assignments together, I'll come back tomorrow and pick them up. Actually, I'll send one of my staff to come by and pick them up. We'd really appreciate it.
Or if you could just give all his assignments to that kid in the third row, because we're paying him to do this work at this point anyhow.
Tony,
take care of Bobby's homework for him.
Right.
Here's your check.
So you give it to Tony, and Tony, you'll get it to us, right? Wink, wink, nod, nod. So I don't see, to be serious for a second, I don't see how the NCAA can enforce whatever it is they're going to try to do. They want to change the process right now. John Ruiz is giving this Rashada kid $9.5 million. Technically, he got the money after he chose the Canes, but we all know the offer was on the table. He chose the Canes and he said, "Oh, thank you very much." Just like the Gator Collective had an $11 million NIL offer on the table for Rashada, and he chose the Canes anyway. Here's my question. Should it matter? Like, does it matter? Because all we're doing is, I mean, let's face it, we're playing a shell game here. I mean, does it matter if the money's up front before they choose their college, as opposed to we're all going to wink, wink, nod, nod, lie, basically just to keep it away from the NCAA, and the offer's still going to be made. We're just going to create the impression that Rashada chose the Canes, and then, oh my goodness, look at that. Boy, they really took care of him. They gave him $9.5 million. I mean,
No, we shouldn't care for a lot of reasons. You brought up a couple of them. The fact of the matter is, these guys are going to get paid. The money is going to be appalling to some of you. It's not going to bother others. But these five-star kids were all getting, this is the part that I think everybody's going to have to have the uncomfortable realization of, is that these five-star kids have been getting this money all along.
oh, I don't know if they've been getting this much.
Not this much, but they've been getting money.
Sure.
And now they're getting obscene money.
Right, because it's legal. So we don't have to, sugarcoat it, and we can actually create streams of revenue and give them more.
And we can't put a salary cap on it because these athletes don't collectively bargain.
Correct. They're not a union. They're not employees. To me, the question I keep going back to. Does it matter to anyone that this kid who's going to play quarterback for Miami in a year or so is going to be making $2-3 million a year? And I mean, you know it. Basically, when he shows up week one, let's just say they got a cupcake opener for him. They're playing Ball State. All right. Well, he's making $250,000 that day. Does anybody care? Because this, to me, I keep going back to, this is that the fabric of college football is different than the fabric of pro football. But now that we know, I mean, you get to call in to your favorite Miami sports show and complain about Jaden Rashada and go, I can't believe we're paying him $3 million. And
you know when the college fan will get excited if this is just like the scholarship and these NIL deals are one-year deals and the guy has a bad year and they cut his NIL. You know what'll happen with the college fan then? They'll be ecstatic, David. If pay for play means play good, you get paid, pay bad, I can cut your pay. I actually think the fan would be comfortable with it.
I mean, Hops in our Twitch chat room, he goes, so which one of these kids is going to be the first to do time for tax fraud? I mean, that's true. They gotta pay taxes on this. Although I'm wondering if somebody will take it to court and go, well, hold on a second. They didn't have to pay taxes on the scholarship. Didn't that have value? I mean, those of us who don't have kids who get a scholarship, we know exactly how much a year costs.
And how much we have to earn to pay for that year.
Right. So, Ryan wonders, will college football players stay in school longer due to NIL? I think in some cases, yes. Because you can literally find out, so where am I going in the draft? And in some cases, you can make as much or more by staying in college. I really believe that. Because we know that you can have a terrific college player who's not a terrific pro prospect. I mean, think about if we had this when Tebow was in Gainesville. I mean, let's be honest. He would have made more in Gainesville.
Or Manziel at A&M.
Yeah.
I mean,
then they would have made and both were first-round picks and would have made far more money. Now Tebow stayed all four. But, I mean, would Johnny have left? I don't think he would have. And we all know Johnny was getting gifts. I mean, Johnny acknowledged he was getting gifts. But, I mean, it would have been, and especially now, the way A&M's lining it up, there's no way Johnny leaves early.
It'll be the exception, not the rule.
Yeah. And I think you could see it like DC in our Twitch chat room mentioned basketball. I do think you can get kids to stay longer in hoops
For certain.
because being a starter and playing time and guaranteed contracts. I mean, really good players. I mean, all conference players fell in the second round or were undrafted. So I do think that it'll keep some kids in college hoops longer. But does this bother you very quickly? Yes or no? Does the money being this public, being out there, bother you?
Not yet. Not yet. I'll reserve judgment, but at this point, I don't have a problem with it. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. John Forslund coming up on the other side right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
So, David, I think you, as a huge fan of fast food, should go as one of the McDonald Land characters on Bourbon Street after the game. I'm thinking Grimace.
Well, I've got the body type, the big round face. I was always a big fan.
I mean, you're more of a hamburglar by nature, but body type, you're more of a Grimace.
I like it. So you want me to drag this costume into the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans?
I
Okay.
want you to wear it in the booth, but I don't think that'll go over well. I think if you walked up as Grimace and stood next to Aikman in the booth, I think he'd fire you on the spot, and I don't think Buck would be able to do the broadcast. He'd laugh for 3 straight hours.
Thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Phil Steele starting to do appearances.
I reached out to him.
Oh, did you? Okay. He just tweeted out 5 minutes ago. That's the only reason I say it.
Johnny, how do they cap it? How do they cap it? I said this a month ago. To me, the only solution to cap it, and I agree with you, by the way, that I think it would better the sport if they could get a cap, but you got to make them employees.
And that ain't happening.
And it probably isn't. And boy, would that get complicated.
That would end college football more quickly than not doing it, I think, or completely separate it. Because Central Michigan doesn't have college football if they're employees, if you know what I mean.
And Johnny, what we, I think, believe that this is going to do is this is going to lead even more to the split between the haves and the have-nots. And that's even amongst the haves. I do like your hat, Felipe. I have to admit. I like it. But then again, I like the color. I wish the Dolphins would wear that color every day.
It looks like a draft night hat.
If you say so.
It's attack. Drake had an album called "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late." It's the font of
Gotcha.
the Drake album. If you're reading this, it's too late.
Well, Ryan, I don't know if it would have been more than number 1 overall pick. But think about Louisville and Lamar. You know, Lamar went 32nd.
Good morning.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Final hour of Miller and Moulton for those of you in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice. Halfway home for those in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It is a pleasure to start this 8 a.m. hour off with our favorite play-by-play guy, John Forslund, the NHL on TNT, the voice of the Seattle Kraken. He did much of the playoffs on Sports USA Radio, including the Eastern Conference Final. He saw a lot of the Lightning. You can follow John on Twitter at John Forslund, Forslund. Ah, John, it's over. It's over. What are we going to do?
Well, I can think of a couple of things, guys, but we're not going to go into those now.
Well, just to put a bow on this, where do you put this Colorado team, John? They 2 sweeps leading up to the final. They play it, get it done in 6 with incredible speed. You know, just your thoughts on this Avalanche team.
Well, you know, they beat one of. I put Tampa Bay in the realm of one of the greatest teams of all time. I mean, I heard last night that, you know, I guess a dynasty is 3 cups in a row. I don't know if you go to the final 3 years in a row in this era through a pandemic and with the salary cap. I think that's pretty admirable. And I don't think any team, obviously, in the league, unless you go back to the days of the early 20s, you know, when we had another pandemic, had to go through something like this. So I think it's fair to take that into account. And then when you see that Colorado defeated that group, that puts Colorado in a great slot as one of the greatest teams in a singular season. And now they can start their journey. If they can keep that group together, they're young enough, they're fast enough. Obviously, they're good enough to go back to back, and they're going to have that on their wish list come training camp time.
John, it is a fascinating thing about the NHL. Like the NFL has a cap, the NBA has a cap, but neither league has anything remotely close to a hard cap. The NHL's cap is 100% ironclad hard. I mean, you know, the Avs made deadline pickups. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep any of them. They're probably going to lose their starting goalie. And the Avs to a man said, you know, Don't know if we win it without Darcy Kemper and Nets. I don't think we win it without the deadline acquisitions that Joe made. I mean, it's the rare sport. Other sports, teams actually get better the year after they win the cup. It's seemingly almost impossible to be better the year after you win the cup in hockey.
Well, it's fascinating to watch. It's a great point that you bring up here because yes, it's a hard cap and it's been a flat cap because of the pandemic, right? So there's been no incremental increase in the salary cap over the last 3 seasons. It's been frozen. It'll be relatively frozen again going into the next year. So usually it grows, and in this season the league had record revenues in excess of $5 billion. It's still not going to help because they're still making up for what was lost with the abbreviated seasons and the truncated season and the bubble situation, all the playoff revenue that the teams lost that season. They're still trying to recapture. But what ends up happening here is, you're absolutely right, is your core has to be as rock solid as possible. You have to be absolutely correct on your core players. You have to tie those players up long term and make sure that everything fits, and then you build around that. And you have to recognize, as the Lightning have found out over the last couple of seasons, you lose some key players. So as we know, Yanni Gourde, Blake Coleman, and Barclay Goodrow were the best third line in hockey for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were the best support system that any top group of 6 forwards could have. And that whole line was dismantled via free agency, a trade, and the expansion draft. And Tampa Bay's management was still able to replenish that and make them relevant and make them great again. And then we saw what they did in this playoff run. So what Colorado will do, they're going to lose Arturi Lehkonen, who is a great player. They're likely to lose Val Nichushkin, who is a great player in these playoffs. You mentioned the goaltender. They'll likely lose him. They still have enough. They still have plenty of high-end talent, obviously, to be a great team. And what you have to do as a management group is scout hard, recognize where players slot in, recognize what players make sense and what contracts economically are feasible, and go from there. And that's what we'll see with Colorado moving forward.
John, Colorado played that crazy game 1 against Edmonton, the 9-6 game. And we wondered on this show, could Colorado win 2-1 games? That 9-6 game, looking back on it, how they tightened up in that series defensively, kind of was a precursor to what they were able to do, because I wasn't sure heading into the final if they could win 2-1 games. They proved to all of us that they can.
Yeah, and they worked hard in the regular season to become that. You know, that was their thing. That was the burn they had going into the year after being ousted last year, when McKinnon sat there and said, you know what, I've been here a long time and I haven't won bleep. And he said, we got to come back with a burn. And what does that mean? That means you have to fix something within your game. So for the previous few seasons, the best line, one of the best lines in hockey, was Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, and Mikko Rantanen. But their lineup was top heavy, and it didn't have the right dimension to it to make them winners. So they, as you saw in this playoff run, they broke those guys up a little bit because they could. Nichushkin's game came out of nowhere in the playoffs. It really went to a different level. So he became a top line player. But Darren Helm and Cogliano and even Sturm and these players that they acquired at the trading deadline, Manson for the back end, it fixed a lot of the things that they were able to get through the regular season with. They kind of morphed their game in the way how they wanted to play, but they needed pieces to fit so they could play that game, so they could grind teams into the ice. So it didn't get there till it really counted, but you're right. It started and it looked like, oh, this is the old Colorado group. They're gonna go to an old-fashioned shootout, an 80s style game, and win that style of hockey, and they have the personnel to do it. But that doesn't win. You still have to get down to the basics of real hard, intangible hockey that's really won and lost in the interior of the ice. And they proved they could do that, and they proved they could defend well in front of a goalie who fought some problems for himself, an injury, a long layoff, and maybe a little bit of lack of confidence. But Kemper responded twice in the final round and did a great job, and a big key and the reason why they won.
Well, another interesting guy, see if they can keep, is Kadri. I believe his contract's up as well. And I know everybody says, oh, I want to stay. But when somebody offers you more money and he'll likely get a better offer elsewhere, will he turn it down to stay? He's John Forslund. He is the voice of the Seattle Kraken. He does the NHL on TNT, and he called many a playoff game on Sports USA Radio, including the conference finals in the East. And John, I want to talk about the Lightning going forward. You know, Stamkos said almost defiantly last night, hey, our run's not over. Our core's not going anywhere. And it's true. He's 32, Hedman's 31. I think McDonough's in his early 30s, but the goalie's only 28. You know, their best forward, not named Stamkos, is in his 20s. Their core is intact, but you know, they're probably going to lose Palat, who's on their first line. They put that third line together again, and I don't know how much of it they're going to be able to keep again. And they don't seem, John, to be filling the lineup in from their AHL affiliate like they did a few years ago. I'm wondering, will the Lightning still be as formidable as they've been?
They're going to be right there, but it's obviously taking a turn, and it'll start going the other direction. But let's look at a few things here. You're right. Their cupboard is different in the minor leagues than it was. That's how they were able to keep their heads above water, right? So they had to mortgage a little bit of that. And you're never drafting in a prime position when you're an elite team, although they have done an excellent job at that over the years. But when you have Vasilevsky in goal, that's a great starting point. I mean, he's a guy who can win the game on his own accord, so you're good there. When you look at the defensive group, it's solid. Sergachev, I think, took another step in the playoffs, and he's going to have to continue to do that. He's going to have to morph into a legitimate top four defenseman for this team moving forward. Hedman's one of the great players in the world. That's not going to change. Then you mentioned the forwards. And the core of the group is there, and the core will have a couple of more kicks at it, and that's good. They're going to have to fill in pieces. I think the Hagel trade was a good one because he's a 23, 24-year-old player that can score 25 goals and add some speed and really competed well. Cirelli's still a young player. Don't forget they tried to do this without Braden Point. That's impossible. I don't think we said it at the start of this final round. I didn't think there was any way they could win without Braden Point. They tried to have half of Braden Point in the first two games, and so he's really injured and has to get himself healthy again. But he's a dynamic player, as we know, and a real great competitor and a high-end player. So and still young. So it's all there for them. And I think they're a team that feeds off their own energy. They proved that this year. There are a lot of people second-guessing a championship-level team. I'm not sure how you do that. So why would anybody kind of second-guess them again going into the season? There will be people that will do that. I won't be one of those because the other teams in the Eastern Conference have to prove they're better than the Lightning are. You know, the Florida Panthers, maybe they have the personnel. I don't know. Maybe the new coach will work. I don't know. They don't know. No one knows until they convene and get after it again. Maybe that works for them. Carolina, they're there in the slot. They're not good enough. They're not good enough to beat Tampa Bay. That's been proven. They're not good enough right now to get out of the second round. And they have some issues contractually that they're going to have to address. The Rangers are a really good young teams, proven. Pittsburgh is kind of on the back nine. So when you look at Toronto, I think is one team that legitimately you could say, yeah, they're going to push and they're going to maybe maybe it's their turn now and they're going to be a tough out for Tampa Bay. But until proven, when you have this experience and that coach, they have the framework in place and they're going to come back with a burn, which is, let's do it. Let's prove a lot of these naysayers wrong again. You know, that we are a dynasty. I mean, I thought that comment didn't make much sense to me because I view them as much a dynasty as the Kings were, the Hawks were, you know, in this era. There's no question that Tampa Bay has a dynasty. And if they do it again and they're back for the fourth year in a row with a kick at the cup, I guess they are.
John, cannot say thank you enough to how generous you've been with your time while working and even now during your off season. Have a great off season. And like I told you, I'm heading to Seattle in 2.5 months. I will track you down. All right.
That'll be great. I look forward to seeing you out there, David, and I appreciate you guys. And hey, listen, I'll be sleeping all summer, so wake me up anytime.
Sounds good. Thanks, John, for everything.
John Forslund, NHL on TNT, the voice of the Seattle Kraken. and also did the hockey playoffs on Sports USA Radio. You can follow John on Twitter at John Forslund, Forslund. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. .3% of all radio listenership comes through a stream.
KW finding what issue? What are we talking about here? Usually, by the way, guys, it's understood with the analyst, the final minute of regulation, the analyst lays out and lets the play-by-play guy take it when the cup's going to be decided. And yes, that little Miami hat you see over Mark's, his left shoulder, it's on the right shoulder of the screen. Yes, that is young Felipe.
Mark, why are you wearing a Miami hat, dude? What's wrong with you?
I like the Canes. I like the Dolphins. I don't have a problem with any Miami teams. Heat fans bother me.
Like myself.
Well, only when you abandon them. You know, we were fine with you until you
quit on them. That's a typical Miami. Unfortunately, that is a stereotypical Miami fan.
When you lost Game 5 against Boston, and you bailed on them.
Yeah, I didn't quit. I was offended.
No,
you quit.
Were offended, but you bailed on them.
No,
you bailed on them.
I lost faith.
Well, that's bailing on them.
That's the definition of bailing on them.
Well, you lost faith in the Warriors, and they won.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan.
And I am a fan, and I didn't.
Wow, that's so great. I think the whole world bailed on the Heat after that game.
They just because everybody else is doing it, you never bail on your team.
I was offended about that home loss.
It's okay. So
wow, that was a terrible forehand.
It also took Jimmy Butler scoring 47 to win
You
Game
just got
6.
cut.
Doesn't
You
matter.
was on television.
That's why you don't bail on him, because you've got a Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Felipe in 94, the Rangers.
Blocked punt.
Hmm?
Blocked punt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes, I know.
oh,
In 94, Felipe, the Rangers lost Game 5 at home to the Devils, and it was like 4-1 to fall behind 3-2 in the series in the conference final. And they had to go on the road to win a Game 6. And the Rangers never won games in this spot. And my buddies were giving me a hard time. And I'm like, listen, this team's different. This team's different. This team can go on the road and win. They're like, oh, come on, man. They never win this game. And I go, yeah, I know. But past teams, I would have said it's over, not this one. You don't bail on the Heat. You don't bail on the Lightning. By the way, Kevin Durant now all of a sudden maybe trying to
he's kind of ghosting the Nets too.
finagling his way out of Brooklyn 1 year after signing this long-term extension. I mean, what the heck?
Arch, it's not a you thing because all of Miami was offended. So it's a Miami thing, I guess.
Oh, so you now speak for all of Miami.
I do. At least on this show. On this show, I certainly do. You know how Pitbull's Mr. 305? I'm Mr. 786.
If you say so.
We'll come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Our poll question's a little different today. Got to admit, even for us. I mean, we go off the reservation every now and then, but this one's deep inland. So apparently, technologically, Alexa needs about 1 minute of someone's voice?
That's the new technology they're working on. With less than 1 minute of a recorded voice, Alexa can then imitate that voice.
So someone who's no longer with us, if you have them,
Right.
on a video recording or audio recording, what have you, you could then technologically, Alexa could be your dead parent,
Right.
spouse, whatever the special person in your life who's no longer with you.
And since you don't even use Alexa, and I barely do, I did not realize you can change the name. So one, I'm going home and renaming Alexa Fred today. That's done.
How's your wife going to react to that?
You know what?
Does she use it, or are you the only one that uses it?
We all use it occasionally, but I think we may have to, there may be a house meeting tonight to come up with a new name.
I'll bet it freaks your daughter out.
If I called it Fred?
Call it Grandpa Fred.
Well, then that would freak her out. I would just call it Fred for my own amusement.
Okay.
But right now, with Amazon Alexa being able to imitate any voice, including relatives who have passed, would you find dead relatives' voice as Alexa comforting or creepy? Right now, 85% of you are saying it's creepy.
All right, here's my question, and I voted comforting for this one reason. If you find it creepy, why would you use it? Don't use it if you find it creepy. So, since you're using it, you can't find it creepy. I don't know. So, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. floridasportsnetwork.com, and vote accordingly. We'll talk a little bit about Deshaun Watson and the Browns with Garrett Bush coming up in about 15 minutes, because Watson's meeting with the NFL beginning tomorrow. So this thing's happening. We're finally going to get a resolution of this mess. Yeah. So we'll talk to Garrett Bush about that in 15 minutes. Speaking of a mess, very quickly. So Kevin Durant may want out of Brooklyn.
Well, he's distancing himself from the Nets is what I'm reading.
So apparently there's two things he's unhappy with. Apparently they fired like his personal trainer, who was given some sort of assistant job in the organization. He didn't like that very much. And two, he's in bed with Kyrie. And so this whole, whatever they're calling it between the Nets and Kyrie, KD's on the side of Kyrie. And he's saying to the Nets, apparently, listen, you don't understand him. I understand him. And we're better off with him than without. So you paid me, pay him. Okay? We came here together to do this together. So when I signed last year this long-term extension with you guys, it never did I think that Kyrie would not be here with me. So apparently KD hasn't talked to him in like over a month. And it's kind of out there that if by chance the Nets and Kyrie don't work things out in the next 72 hours, that KD may just say, well, you might as well get me out of here too. And then what was it over the weekend? Damian Lillard sent out the tweet of him and KD side by side in Blazers uniforms, which freaked NBA Twitter out to no end. Now, you know my feeling about this. All right. I'd be the worst team in the league for 5 years before I would trade Kevin Durant if I were the Nets. And not because I'm infatuated with KD, even though you know I am. All right. No way. You wanted the 5 years and you wanted the Supermax money and I gave it to you. Okay. You ain't a year later just saying, get me out of here. No, absolutely not. Okay. I'll be the worst team in the league. You could sit home. And we could be the worst team in the league for 5 years. You could sit your blank home. No way am I trading you. No flipping way. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care if anybody shows up either. Make no difference to me. I got enough money to own this damn team. Like, you think I need you to play? You think I need you 18,000 to show up? Trust me, I can afford the losses. No way. I committed $200+ million to you. And 1 year later, you want out? Oh, my goodness.
I think everyone's going to end up staying in Brooklyn.
Probably, but I'm just saying that's my attitude. I'm waiting for the owner, by the way, that has that attitude and says, listen, you've played your last game then. Now, you're going to get your money, but you've played your last game.
And I love your passion of wanting to go the scorched earth route. I think if I were an owner, I would just be laughing hysterically at all of this. Because if they decide they want to pay Kyrie, obviously KD's fine. Right. All of his problems go away in a net. I can fix his problems without even having to talk to him. So I'm going to let him make as much noise as he wants, because back to your point, David, I've got enough money to not worry about Kevin Durant's personal problems.
Really?
Which he has a lot of them.
Apparently so. Very sensitive.
Incredibly sensitive. So I'm with you on that side, but I would just largely ignore it as an owner.
So you wouldn't say a word?
Not a damn thing.
Okay.
In fact, the less I say, I think the more I would be irking a KD off. And there's part of me going, I'm paying him $200 million. And if he wants to be that unhappy for the $200 million, then I'm going to say less. Because I think by saying something, you would actually appease him, appease KD what he wants. You're giving in at that point. I would act like he doesn't exist.
Okay,
right
so if we're in the front office together, you're the owner and I work for you. And I would be, about ready to throw a tantrum and the whole deal and call the New York Post up and say, hey, you want a story? I'll give you some quotes, and you would be like, listen, I'll make a bet with you. All right. We're not going to say a word, not one word. And I'll bet you he shows up by pick a date.
In fact, can you gas up the yacht? Let's go for a little cruise and see if we can get some pictures taken,
Right.
just ignoring him.
Right. Just pick a date. Halloween, Thanksgiving, somewhere in between there. Season starts right around Halloween. You tell me when you think he's showing up.
Katie's so sensitive that, Mark, I think if you tweeted that, there's like a 40% chance he'd respond.
I know he would, and that's why I wouldn't do anything as the owner. I would. KD wants attention. There's something about him that when I think he's bothered right now that Golden State won a title.
Oh, you think? Oh my gosh.
Especially since Draymond called him out. And Barkley did too, and said, till you win one without the 3 Hall of Famers there, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't won one. KD said, he's just a fat old man who never won anything, and he's grouchy.
Right, because we're making all this money.
Right.
And you know what? There could be some truth to that.
Sure.
But largely, I would just ignore him. I would not go public as an owner. David, I wish you owned a team. Because in this seat, you would be a great owner. I'd want to cover the team that you owned.
Yeah, this is like being in Dallas with Mark Cuban. Right. This and Jera. Are you kidding me? Who cares if they win? I'm doing sports talk radio on the ticket in Dallas. What do we care?
What makes me laugh is the reports of, sign and trade Westbrook for Kyrie. Can you imagine how pissed off KD would be?
This is the favorite part of our season, by the way, of the NBA. For as much as we got into the playoffs, all right, this is the favorite part of the NBA season for Miller and Moulton. These next 10 days.
A lot of drama.
Well, and when Westbrook signs with the Lakers, I want to see how they figure out how the Lakers are going to win the title next year, at least on the 4-letter network.
Oh, please stop. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
How you doing? I'm good. Oh, we're good. We're good.
Monday.
Yeah. Oh.
Approaching the end of June.
Oh. Hey, we're just counting it down. 61 days to the first college football game, 73 to the NFL season.
Is that the show prep?
Yeah. This is starting 5 right here. There you go.
Well, good morning.
Thank you.
Also also, there may be literally nothing more dramatic in golf than Lexi with the lead on the back nine of a major. It's absolute must-see TV, and she delivered that kind of product again on Sunday. It made Jordan Spieth look like the diet stuff, especially the roller coaster whiplash from a shorty that missed the entire hole on 14 to the outrageous birdie at 15 to the mess around the green at 16 to another disastrous shorty yip at 17. It was exhilarating and exhausting. You were almost relieved when it was over, and the last birdie putt on 18 didn't even scare the hole. Yep. I mean, I guess they didn't put choke in there, but by the way, apparently it was really slow.
Yeah, she got fined.
On Saturday, it took 3 hours to play 9.
5:45 the round took. NBC signed off at 6 o'clock and said sorry.
CNBC.
Yeah. And the people covering the women's tour were all bent out of shape.
They play 6-hour rounds.
Well, yeah, that's what NBC said. NBC said, hey, we've got, 300 affiliates. I don't know what to tell you. By the way, the NASCAR race last night, it started on NBC, was supposed to go until 9 o'clock. Well, when they had the rain and lightning delay, they threw it to the stations and said, all right, run your normal stuff. We'll move this to USA. That race ended on, they did the last 3 hours on USA.
Man, I mean, you could swing this thing and do circles. It's so light. This is scary. I mean, this thing's like I think that's like this thing's heavy. Like this thing doesn't even move.
Gotcha. Dratherion, I saw the promo for it and I wondered about it. About Rise. I did like the Adam Sandler one.
Man, was it a rainy weekend this weekend.
Who do we have here?
The Garrett Bush guy, right?
Yeah, okay.
Have you guys ever gotten like a storm or a hurricane so bad that this building floods?
Well, I mean, we're never in this building when something like that. When we used to do afternoons, there would be some really bad storms that knocked us off air, by losing power and what have you. But there was a couple of sections in the building where the roof would leak.
Oh, a good 2 or 3.
But water didn't come in from the outside, but if you know what I mean, at the ground level, but it did in a couple of sections of the building come in through the roof.
I will say the other place, we never did shows there. That's the one to me that they're right on the river. There ever was a storm surge, Wink TV that whole building could be in trouble. Don't you think?
Yes.
Garrett's on hold. We're back in 5 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour begins at the top of the hour for those in the 239. Gary Ferman, by the way, of Canesport, will join us at the top of the hour. Thanks so much for listening. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Garrett Bush is kind enough to join us, co-host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, the Locked On Browns podcast. He's a part of 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. You can follow him on Twitter at the letter G Bush91. G Bush91. Garrett, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is our pleasure. All right. Tomorrow, the quarterback in the league actually going to talk about life and pursuit of happiness. All right. I mean, Garrett, where are you with all this?
Well, I think I'm a lot like a lot of people in Cleveland. There are certain aspects of this case I'm conflicted about. You know, when you talk about it for the Cleveland Browns standpoint, you know, the Browns made a decision to go get a very talented player in Deshaun Watson and believe that this was the missing piece to a team that has a great running game, has a great defense. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, you know, they went and got Amari Cooper, and it looked as if Deshaun Watson was going to go somewhere else. When they got him, everybody in Cleveland was really excited. I would say almost 70% were excited. However, as the information starts coming out and you look around and you start to hear stuff every single day, the details come out, it makes it more and more of a situation where it becomes polarizing to a lot of the fan base. And I think right now the fan base is about 50-50 on it. In terms of the punishment coming out tomorrow or the hearing coming out tomorrow, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the stance of the NFL Players Association will be. What is it going to be their argue? What are they going to argue? What is their plan of attack in terms of, you know, mentioning of some of the same type of things that Deshaun Watson is going through at this point. But I do believe that this is, you know, whatever they say is going to be pivotal because, as you can tell, we talked about 4 games, and some people said 6, and then some people said 8, and now it's all the way up into an indefinite suspension or at least a year. So I think it's very important how they present their case, and I'm interested to see if the Players Association and Sue Robinson will come to some sort of agreement in the middle ground area between a year suspension and 8 games. So I think that's where I stand at this point.
Do you think the settling of 20 of the 24 suits helps Watson?
Well, to be truthful, I think they've all met. You know, I don't want to be a conspiracy theory, but I think that the NFL, I think the defense attorney and the prosecuting attorney who brought the cases, I truly believe that they got in the room with all parties involved and said, hey, it's getting to a point where we're bringing in a team, the Houston Texans. This thing is turning into something that's bigger than what we wanted to turn into. So, hey, Deshaun, here's what we're going to do. Come on in, settle those 20 cases, and let's negotiate something that we feel is both fair in terms of figuring out what a suspension looks like for both sides. I think it was imperative for him to even get to a point of only having 4 cases left. So I definitely think the NFL, tapped him on the shoulder, say, hey, let's get this thing squared away. And if you do that, we're gonna see about a suspension, which could see play this year. But if you don't, that's why they're floating the indefinite thing. If he would have never finished, got done with those 20, the 20 settlements, I think that was a no-go for the NFL because they want this stuff to end. And I think at this point, that's exactly what he did. He just went ahead and got the 20 out of the way. He has 4 more to take care of now.
Garrett Bush, co-host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, the Locked On Browns podcast, part of 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. You can follow Garrett on Twitter, the letter G Bush91, G Bush91. Why is it over between Baker Mayfield and the Browns? Because I sit here and go, if you're going to lose Watson for half a season to a full season, and you're paying Baker the 18.9, whether he's sitting at home or not, why not have him play for you? He's clearly better than the backup Brissett. So you're trying to make the playoffs. You've got a roster that you think that can seriously contend. why not play Baker when Watson is suspended?
Well, that's a question a lot of people bring up, and even people in the local media here and the fans do too. If you look at the skill set between Jacoby Brissett and Baker Mayfield is obviously the better quarterback between the two. Also, people are saying, hey, if you're going to be suspended for a year, and so Deshaun Watson has no option of playing, it just makes sense to play Baker Mayfield. The only issue and the only problem with that is that Baker Mayfield is never going to do that. One of the things that you learn intimately about Baker Mayfield, even going back to college, is that when the bridge is burned, when things go down, he's very emotional about certain things. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and that's part of the reason why people like him. It's part of the reason he's endeared himself to a lot of people, because he has raw emotions. He plays with fire, and he lives his life in a way where it's saying, listen, I can prove everybody wrong. So when they quoted Deshaun Watson, it was never going to be an option for Baker Mayfield to come back, not because the Cleveland Browns said couldn't do it. It's just the simple fact that Baker Mayfield, in the way he's wired, is not wired to go through such a public breakup, ask for the trade, and then come back and say, hey, guys, can you put me in the game? I'll come in and hold the spot for Deshaun Watson. He's not that type of guy. He's a competitor, and I think he just wants a fresh start. And to be truthful, I think the Browns understand that, and they made their bed when they went after Deshaun Watson to start with. And so that's just the collateral damage of trying to upgrade positions. Sometimes you don't have an opportunity to come back from that. And I think at this point, there's no option for Baker Mayfield to come back, and that's just because who he is as an individual, and rightfully so.
Is Baker Mayfield mature enough to be a winner in the league?
I think it's yet to be seen. What I've seen so far, I lean towards no. But not saying, he can't. Everybody has the opportunity to make it their way in the league. But as of today, I would say not really, because if he was, he would do exactly what you just said. So many people have put that out there saying if Baker Mayfield was smart and his agent was smart, he'd go to the Cleveland Browns and say, hey, look, hey, I'm not going to mess anything up. I'm just trying to keep my head down. I'm interested in helping this team win in any way I can. Let me come in and compete. I'm not even saying I have to start over Jacoby Brissett. Let me come in and compete, earn the guys' respect, and then I could move on and go somewhere else and revitalize my career. If he was mature, he'd tell his agent to do whatever he could to get back, because to me, that's his best option of playing football. And if he had that level of maturity to see the bigger picture, I think he would, in the long run, 10 years away from now, would say, that was the best decision I ever made, was going back for that 1 year, because it can rekindle your career, it can jumpstart, it can add a spark to it. And I think that's the maturity that he's missing, because right now I think he's hurt that he was a guy who was drafted #1 overall, who had won a playoff game for Cleveland and had some really good moments for the Browns, especially beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. But, when you're a guy that has accomplished that and your team somebody else because they think he's better, it brings you to a level where you can't think rationally about it. And I just think if he would do it, it would be a great decision on his part.
Garrett, do you think the Players Association is willing to go to war with the league over Deshaun Watson? Because I think if they're not, like if they give the impression they're, Raj, if you suspend him for 8 to whatever games, we're okay with that. If you go a year or more, we're going to fight you. That's not going to be in the best interest of Deshaun Watson or the Browns. I think the Players Association needs to say to the NFL, you want a war on your hands? Suspend this guy who hasn't even been charged with a crime. And we're going to bring up Snyder, Irsay, and Kraft, and we're going to go public, and we're going to make this a racial issue. We're going to make it player versus owner, and we will make this the 2 ugliest years. You're going to wish for the Colin Kaepernick to be the main story of this league again. That's how ugly we're going to make this. Do you think the Players Association is prepared to do that for Deshaun Watson?
I think the question posed is, are they willing to do that for all of the players, right? So Deshaun Watson represents the players. And I'm a big person on precedents, and a lot of people are. If Deshaun Watson is able to be suspended indefinitely, right, then think about how many people, interact with the outside vendors in the league. People who do get massages through the league, people who do have female employees, people who do have, women staff members that interact with the players, interact with owners and people. If any allegations come out, that means the precedent says with Deshaun Watson, hey, I can suspend you indefinitely, and you have no recourse, or you don't have any options of appealing. Whether he can appeal, but the precedent is you get suspended, and then when everything takes hold, and you can come back and play. If it's an indefinite suspension, that means you have to clear every single one of these cases. What if that takes 3 years? What if you're moving past the player's prime? You're moving past the player's opportunity to earn any money until things blow over or until things are settled. So I think the Players Association, and I always make this analogy, nobody likes nuclear war, right? When you got one country with nuclear weapons, it works out pretty well. You just scare people into it. But at this point, I actually do. The Players Association has ammunition. I think they got the weapons of mass destruction. And if it's to a place where they think they can't win a war with the owners legally, they may revert to exactly what you said. Hey, we're gonna sue the league. We're gonna get discovery in the case. We want to subpoena emails. We even want to put out. We want all information you have on us between the owners. And just like the Kaepernick situation, the league said we don't want any problems with that. Let's just figure out a way. Boom, let's take care of that and get out of here. I think that's the hard place the league is. And then, do you want to give them a suspension and the NFL Players Association is down your throats, or do you want to give them a life suspension? The public and women are going to be up in arms. It's just about them to calculate which one is more feasible and tenable for their risk aversion.
Garrett, what do you think the suspension is going to be? What's your gut tell you when this thing's all said and done? How many games is he going to get?
I've always thought it was somewhere between 4 and 8 games. I think his suspension will get 8. I think he'll get 8 games. I think the league is doing a lot of rhetoric, so it doesn't, tick off a lot of people who believe that he should be sitting out for way longer. So I think they're doing a lot in the media. I think they're leaking a lot of stuff, and they just want everyone out there to know, hey, we take this seriously. Hey, we're doing our due diligence on this. This is serious. We take it like that. But eventually, when they get behind closed doors and have to negotiate a punishment, I think it'll be 8 games. He'll be able to appeal it. He may get it to 6, but I've always thought the suspension was 8 games, and I'll stick with that moving forward until we see what happens.
Garrett, we appreciate your time and your insight. Thanks so much for doing this. Hopefully we can talk to you again.
Anytime.
Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, the Locked On Browns podcast, part of 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow Garrett on Twitter, the letter G Bush 91, G Bush 91. And for the record, I have contended that if he is suspended, it will be at least 8, for the simple reason that Game 8 is a Monday Night Football home game against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and I do not think that the NFL wants Deshaun Watson on Monday Night Football, particularly when, if you give him a 6-game suspension, that would be his first home game. I don't think they want that. It would be a monster story on Halloween night. It would be so much attention.
He's getting a year. I don't think it's 8. I think it's a year. I think they've got enough to put the whole year out there. He'll be able to appeal and try to get it reduced. We'll see what happens. But in fact, I actually think it's going to be indefinite, and then it'll be changed to a year. I think he's going to be put on the commissioner's list.
So then when it's a year and then the 4 civil suits that are not yet settled go to trial in early 2023, you think he gets suspended in 2023?
I don't. I think a year would be it.
Okay. Miller and Moulton. You miss any part of the show? Go to floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com. For those of you listening, thanks so much. The bonus hour, Gary Ferman of Cane Sport, next. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, it's not just that Corey Perry's lost 3 straight finals. It's that he's lost 3 straight finals on 3 different teams.
Philly's gonna sign PJ Tucker.
Who is?
Philly. A notification that says they're gonna sign him to a 3-year deal. 3 years, 30 mil.
Well, listen, if that's true, then first off, the deal's going to get negated by the commissioner, and they're going to lose draft picks. I mean, this is tampering. I mean, even by NBA standards, this is beyond tampering.
Because free agency hasn't even started.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it's not like free agency starts tomorrow. I mean, seriously, if I'm Silver, I'll tell you what, they're lucky David Stern's not commissioner. I mean, if this ends up being true, I think Adam Silver negates the deal and goes, come on. First off, if you're Riley in the Heat and this deal's about to go through, don't you call the league now and go, what the hell?
You're gonna give us the hammer for tampering?
I mean, it's one thing to say they think that he's going to sign with the Sixers, for whatever reason, wants to live there, girlfriend, family's there, whatever. But when they got terms of the deal, Betmanx COVID.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day one. Final thoughts all coming up in roughly 40 minutes. Gary Ferman's kind enough to join us once again. He covers the Canes for Canesport.com. Canesport.com. You can follow him on Twitter at CaneSport. Gary, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Well, we are doing very well. And obviously, life at the University of Miami is a lot better these days. Big-time AD brings in the big-time football coach. Men's basketball team went to the Elite Eight. You got a billionaire who wants to bankroll the athletic department. I mean, Gary, is it safe to say that this is the best shape that the athletic department has been in, well, this century?
No doubt about it. Buy Miami stock. Things are bullish in Coral Gables. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Everything's going well right now. The major sports are doing well, even though baseball kind of slid at the end of the year. The women's program is surging. They got the Cavender twins, the marketing machine of women's college sports on campus now. And yeah, I mean, people are excited.
All right. Help us with the NIL part of this as best you can, because obviously the story's out there that he turned down more money from Florida than it was at Miami. It certainly sounds like these deals are getting done before players are signing. Is this going to be a problem in your estimation?
No, I don't think it is. I think there were some assumptions made, but here's the thing: there's a lot of gray area in this. All these high school kids, all are being represented by agents and attorneys, and if those people are doing their job, they are doing their due diligence in advance. Like, they're studying the NIL possibilities at the different schools. They're making contacts to see who's the point of contact when the time comes to consummate these deals. They're looking at what schools are paying other kids, and they're reaching gentlemen's understandings that, players will be compensated appropriately. And does that mean contracts are being done? No. Does that mean exact amounts are being written on a piece of paper? Not necessarily. In the case that you're talking about here with Jaden Rashada, I don't know the existence of a contract to this point. If there is, it would go against the grain of what the NCAA is trying to set as the basic parameters of NIL. Like, they are very strongly trying to keep it out of the recruiting process. It's always going to be the elephant in the room. It's a big deal to these kids and their families and their representatives. But it's really important, I think, that they're successful in trying to figure out the narrow lane to where NIL can exist and recruiting can exist, and they don't necessarily intertwine, even if that's a pipe dream.
Well, and we're talking with Gary Ferman of CaneSport. You can follow him on Twitter at CaneSport, and it's canesport.com. Gary, let's just say this is how it goes down. All right. The kid's in contact with the coaches, but the agents are in contact with the NIL part of every school. Jaden Rashada's agent is in touch with the Gator Collective. He's in touch with John Ruiz. And so in theory, okay, the agent could just say to the kid, listen, you're set up at all of them. Okay. You make the decision for yourself. Trust me. I got you hooked up. Okay. You're set up. All right. Or he could tell them specifically, listen, I got you $9.5 million with Miami. I got you 11 with Florida. I got you this with Clemson. I got you this with LSU. I mean, maybe the kid knows, maybe he doesn't. But I mean, Gary, I don't know how you're going to separate this. Like the NCAA wants the kid to choose Miami and then the agent to negotiate with Ruiz. Well, Gary, we all know how the real world works. Once you choose Miami, you lose your leverage.
Well, I think what they need to do personally, and I think they need to do it sooner than later, is get rid of signing days. When a kid is ready to commit to a school, let him sign. and then he's signed to the school, and then he can go do his NIL. I mean, stop playing games. There's no reason for this kid to commit in the month of June and wait till December to sign and be able to take care of all his business. I mean, that is total absurdity in today's world. Get rid of signing days. You can sign at any time of the year, whenever you want to sign, and then you can go about doing your NIL deal, and it removes all of this nonsense from the equation.
Mike Caspino, who is the agent that handled this young man, tweeted out last night, I understand what the Florida Collective is saying, damage control, I get it. However, the Florida Collective is run by inexperienced millennials. I deal with every collective in the country. Serious ventures call for serious leadership. It seems as if, and I know you cover the Canes, but I bring that up because John Ruiz is serious leadership. It sounds like Miami is well ahead of damn near every school in the country when it comes to NIL.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And John Ruiz knows the laws and he knows the rules. And, we obviously talk to him a lot at CaneSport because he's so involved in Miami. And I will tell you that I had conversations for many weeks with John Ruiz about all of this and specifically Rashada. And he flat told me that he was not engaged with anything with Rashada, and that if Rashada came to Miami, that he definitely would offer Rashada an NIL deal down the road when he gets here, but that there were no negotiations that were going to take place in advance. He does have a relationship with that agent from other conversations they've had in the past. And, I think Caspino knows that John Ruiz is going to be fair and is going to do appropriate NIL deals. And anything beyond that, I don't know. I'm not naive enough to make a definitive statement on anything in this NIL world, but I do sense that there is the inclination to do it the right way, and John Ruiz has offered to be a consultant to the NCAA and help them devised these protocols and stuff to allow this system to work easier. But, like I said a minute ago, to me, this is so easy. It's like they make these things so much more difficult on themselves than they need to be. Say that a kid can sign with a school at any time he wants, and then it's over. It becomes easy, and you don't have to play these games.
Well, Gary, we've been saying that for 10 years. So, you need backup for any reason whatsoever. Call Miller and Moulton. We will, double down on your behalf.
Let's get this thing done, man. Let's take this viral. I can get more demonstrative and animated if you would like. I could start pounding tables in the background and all that. Because let me tell you, to me, as somebody who's been covering this for 4 decades now, this is not difficult. Like, you have a changing landscape. You need to change with it. Now, they put the open transfer rule in, which is part of that. Now go the next step and get rid of all this nonsense. And say that when a kid is ready to make his college decision, he can sign his letter of intent, and then he can go about developing his brand, his name, image, likeness. And
but Gary, we all know that gives the power to the kids. Okay. And the coaches, there is no group in all of sports, pro or college, that is more into power and control than the major college football and basketball coaches. They are never going to give the kids that kind of power. They want to narrow it down to 2 areas. This way they can recruit on their schedule, etc. I don't think it'll ever happen.
I mean, the kids are already getting the power. It's like there's a realization among all these collectives that they can't have enough money in their bank accounts. The kids are already starting to get that power. And you know what? If you look at it, it's fair that they are, because if you're Justin Bieber and you're a great singer at 13 years old, or Britney Spears, or all these, teen idol entertainers that have made fortunes growing up, what's the difference between them and a quarterback that can throw a tight spiral 60 yards and land it on a dime? There's no difference at all. And, these kids that have this athletic ability and have value to different universities should be able to capitalize on it. They have the power now with NIL, and the NCAA needs to adjust.
When you speak with Ruiz, does he talk of what his end game? I know he wants to win championships, but at some point, I don't know if it is limitless money, even for a billionaire. Does he see this as a net win for his company? What is his ultimate end game?
He created a $10 million marketing budget for his company, MSP, and Life Wallet is a division of that company, and it's now a public company. He has gotten just enormous publicity from this. This has been everything and more that he intended when he got into it. And I actually had a conversation with him about this the other day. He was sitting around with his people in his office, and when NIL was just starting up, and they were talking about how are they going to market Life Wallet. And are they going to buy billboards? They're going to do print ads? Are they going to do commercials? How are they going to market Life Wallet? And they came to the conclusion that using these college athletes and NIL was, as really in their minds, the best avenue for them to go with in terms of building and exposing the brand. And they've executed this, and it has exceeded their expectations. I mean, Life Wallet is becoming a very well-known name out there all throughout the country, and it's really just getting started. I mean, it's an app on somebody's phone. I mean, they're just launching their brand, but whether people are going on their phones and putting their medical information in Life Wallet, the name Life Wallet is getting out there without question. And that's what John Ruiz has told me was his intention from the beginning.
Gary, we'll give you a holler a couple weeks before the season starts, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty on the Canes season, all right?
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Gary Ferman covers the Canes for Canesport.com, Canesport.com. You can follow Gary on Twitter at CaneSport.
I thought the quote from the agent handling this quarterback is pretty damning to Florida. The Florida Collective is run by inexperienced millennials. I deal with every collective in the country. Serious ventures call for serious leadership.
They've raised the money, but they haven't quite figured out how to do it. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All coming up. Thanks so much for listening here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So they showed the clip in that Unrivaled, when Crawford and Bowman are yelling at one another.
Mm-hmm.
It's one long. Now I'm hoping ESPN Plus doesn't have the beep outs.
Right.
Because it was on, I watched the
Gotcha.
ESPN version. There was 15 seconds in which you might have heard 3 words. Then they go to both post games. Bowman's like, well, he was upset about some things, and he said this. And It just happens. And Crawford, he said some dumb things. I said some dumb things. That's all they said. And I mean, they are fucking one another.
That's great.
I would say it was jaded. It was definitely from a Wings perspective.
Oh, really?
And they do a great job of going through the Lance winning their title and how big that was in Denver and, talking to all the play. But from that moment, like basically once the parade ends, they start going to Draper in the hospital, getting Shanahan. I thought the rest of it was, I was in heaven.
Well, the Wings win in 97 and 98.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't Colorado lose to Dallas in the 99 conference final?
That sounds right.
Because Dallas goes to back-to-back cups in 99 and 2000, win and lose. Then Colorado wins in 01. And then Detroit beats them in the conference final in 02. And that pretty much ended the
I got to watch about the last 20 minutes. They were in the Constantine after my mother came over and I just turned it off. So I was like, I'll get this later. I had no problem blowing off the wife and mother-in-law for it, then letting them do their own thing. I'm sitting, they're all by the pool. I'm like, this is just, she's spending time with her mother. This is
fantastic.
Couldn't work out any better. And then the lightning alert came.
Do you have something here?
Yeah.
A couple things.
Okay. I was just letting you know the USFL's back for next year.
There you go. All right.
They're going on the road. They're adding at least one more market, maybe 3. So I don't know. Joker won that set 6-3, right?
Yeah, it was down 3-1.
3-1.
I want to feel that grass.
Ben.
Oh shit, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Welcome back, Miller and Moulton, 21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Did you see any of that base brawl yesterday?
I did not. I saw the notifications coming across that 8 got ejected and
3 players on each team and both managers. So 8. Mariners and Angels, by the way, was the brawl. Apparently a pitch went up and in, fastball on Trout Saturday night. Angels were not happy. Now, he didn't get hit, but it was a fastball and it was chin high. And they were not happy. So first inning Sunday, they hit a guy. Boom. Up and in with a fastball. Just hit him. And he was mouthing off to the pitcher. Now, I don't know about you. Get hit by a 90-something mile-an-hour fastball. I think you're allowed to yell.
I think you're allowed to mouth off at the pitcher. I think you're allowed to say a couple things to the bench.
To the catcher and right. And
well, I mean, at that point, we're all aware that it's more than the pitcher and the catcher.
Right.
This is
he got hit on purpose. He knows it. All right. And so the umpires are warning everybody, and he does. He starts yelling with the bench. Now, this got ugly. I mean, there's going to be like week-long suspensions that are coming later today or tomorrow for Major League Baseball. I mean, this hockey took a look at this and went, hey, well done.
Good to see you guys all watched Unrivaled right before the game.
I mean, this is how we used to do it.
Right.
We don't let guys come off the bench anymore. I will say that's the part of this that if I'm Major League Baseball, I hate the bullpens running in. Think about it. Because they're running 100 plus yards. Well, what are they thinking the whole time? I'm going to get in there. I'm going to kill somebody. All right. They're jacking themselves up. Oh, let's go. There's a fight. And you run 100 yards.
Right. I'd need water.
Well,
and oxygen.
You and I would stop somewhere between.
Where's the golf cart?
First and second.
Where's the bullpen cart? What happened to those? I need a bullpen car.
I'll be right. Be right there. Right. So, I mean, and actually it's more than 100 yards because it's like 125 to run into the brawl. But in all seriousness, you're running in, you're all jacked up. You're getting more jacked up with every step. And that's, to me, remember when David Stern, all right, and
put a foot on the court, you're gone.
And he was not kidding. And
nope.
it cost the Knicks a playoff series with the Heat. All right. The Knicks literally had their whole bench who literally took 1 to 2 steps onto the court and stopped. And they even had the evidence. They put their arms out. Hey, we can't go on the court. And Stern said, what part of 1 step on the court did you guys not understand? And he literally suspended like 5 guys for game 6 and 5 guys for game 7. So
shouldn't the bullpens just run at one another and fight with one another too? I mean, really, they right. could save themselves a lot of time and energy. Just go fight the other bullpen.
It's kind of like goalies in hockey. In theory, you can only fight each other. I mean, because if a goalie attacks a player, the player's like, well, I can't beat up the goalie. And first off, he's got a mask on. What am I going to do? And I can't start hitting him because then literally the whole damn team's going to hit me. Now, if the 2 goalies fight, we'll all watch. But if you're Major League Baseball, first off, are you a fan of the base brawl if you're the commissioner? I'm being serious.
No.
Okay. Well, then you could end this today. Here's the deal. You leave the bullpen, you're suspended. And by the way, 30 days. I ain't playing around. You open up, you leave the bullpen, whether it's behind a locked door, on the side, I don't care. You leave the bullpen to 30-day suspension. Secondly, you leave the dugout, you're suspended. Anybody come from the dugout onto the field.
Better charge them on with the bases loaded then, or you're in a world of hurt.
Well, yeah, because you got nobody to help you. But I mean, if you want to end this, you could. Here's the other thing. Anthony Rendon is on the injured list, and he's out for the year for the Angels because of wrist surgery. Anthony Rendon's on the bench. Well, this thing happens. Rendon runs out of the field. He's got a cast. I mean, there's evidence he's choking a guy. He's pounding on a guy. No. Come on, man. You ain't even a player. You're not on the 25-man today. I don't have you on the lineup card. No. Sorry. We let you in the dugout. You can't leave that dugout.
Do you think secretly somewhere way back that Manfred is okay with the base brawl, though?
Yes. I think they're okay with it because they got 2 yahoos in the Florida Sports Network to talk about it for 5 minutes. And when are they getting 2 yahoos in Southwest Florida to talk about baseball
right.
for 5 minutes?
Particularly Mariners, Angels.
Right.
Hello.
But it's just, if you're Rob Manfred, you could end this literally today. I don't even know if he needs the Players Association to go along with him on this. I think he could just universally say, or unilaterally, just come out and go, well, from this point forward, here's the deal. Leave the bench, you're suspended. 30 games, by the way. Leave the bullpen, 30 games. This will be the last one of these we ever have. And there's no doubt the batter's at a disadvantage. It's 1 against 9. But I'm ending this.
And certainly 6, because you got the whole infield coming.
Right. Now granted, in theory, he's got the 2 base coaches. Maybe it's 3 against 6.
Right. Got a couple base runners on. We could even this sucker out.
There you go. Bases are loaded. All right.
Now we got game on. Probably the on-deck circle guy's not necessarily on the bench. He might be able to get, that's a gray area.
It is a gray area.
But at the end of the day, I think behind closed doors that they like it. They like the attention that it brings. They'll never, ever, ever admit it.
And as someone in our Twitch chat room wonders, so if Rendon gets suspended, does he serve it when he's healthy? Yes.
Yes.
Has to be off the IL. So, and he will likely stay on the IL for the rest of the year. if you were the Angels and you were smart, you would take him off the IL at the very end of the year. He's not going to play, but however many games he gets suspended, just there you go. Let it play out because he's on the 40-man.
Right. When you expand the rosters late in the season.
Right. And they'll be out of it, so it won't matter. And this way, he doesn't miss any time at the beginning of next year. And speaking of next year, Mark.
David, they're back. They are back. An announcement this morning from the Sports Business Journal that the USFL will come back for a second season and expand to more markets.
Uh-oh. You mean beyond Birmingham?
The plan is to be in either 2 or 4 markets next year. So Birmingham will be one. They're going to pick either one other or 3 others. Not yet all teams will have their own market, which is what they want to get to. But this is the first spring league to get to year 2.
Well, right. I mean, the AAF didn't get it. The XFL the first time around.
Or the second time. This is XFL 3.
So now are they going to add teams? Because they're at 8 right now.
They want to add teams by 2024.
Okay, so they're not adding teams next year.
Not until year 3 and beyond will they expand. They want to get all these teams in there. The goal is by year 3 to get teams in their own market.
Gotcha. All right. Now I'm trying to remember all 8 teams because I'm trying to figure out where's the second location going to be. I mean, in theory, you got Philly, you got New Jersey, you got Pittsburgh. I'm trying to think.
Detroit.
Detroit. So you got one of those 4 is my guess. Okay, that'd be that division because then the others are in the South, right?
Right.
Before the XFL went down in 2020, were you guys watching? Because I kind of was.
No.
I watched the XFL the first go round though in 01 there.
It was on ESPN. I mean, it looked legit.
Yeah. No. Sorry. We didn't jump on board that one. I've actually watched the USFL. I actually watched the last 2 minutes of regulation of the New Jersey Philadelphia playoff game. Sorry. Saturday I did. The golf had ended for the 3rd round and I switched over to NBC.
A lot of time spent with family this weekend, I see. Or the USFL. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm going to guess Detroit, by the way. Because my guess is they think they'll show up in Detroit. I don't think anyone will show up in Pittsburgh. I think virtually no one will show up in Philly. And no one will show up in Jersey.
Pittsburgh's interesting to me. I do love football.
We're done. What? We're done.
What are you doing?
Sorry, I didn't know you had your earphones on.
Hey, did Ferman ask you to send a clip of the interview to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
He always wants it every time he comes on the show. But it gives us publicity, so please do it.
I already did it.
Great. Thank you. So the kid breaks Djokovic to go up 3-1. Djokovic then has 3 break points at love 40. Kid just fended them all off.
Oh. Okay, Quan. I think it was the 2018. I think it was 2018 Wimbledon. It was Djokovic Federer final. I think that's the last we'll ever see of Federer being great.
I think it was 2019.
It was 2019. Yeah, you're right.
Because Federer beat Nadal in the semis.
In the semis, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. That was.
I don't think Nadal's played Wimbledon since until now.
And remember Federer, I don't know if it was the Nadal or the Djokovic matchup, but it went into extras, tiebreakers.
Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Home stretch of Miller and Moulton on this final Monday in June. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin will join us 8 a.m. tomorrow. That I can guarantee on tomorrow's show. Anything else? Not so sure. But Pat Kerwin, locked, loaded, ready to go. NFL going to meet with Deshaun Watson tomorrow.
And we'll talk to Pat about tight end groups.
Right. Or we move to offensive guards next week. Very quickly before you do, all that you're doing here. Did you see the announcement that was made by NBC and Peacock about, because they do this, some places they'll play as early as 11:30. Yesterday's Marlins Mets game was a noon Peacock game.
Right.
In which they have an hour and a half exclusivity. And they said, we did it because of the success of the Premier League. We found that people will get up early on the weekends and watch sports. And so that's why they made the offer that they made to Major League Baseball. Hey, can we get an exclusive game every Sunday? And we'll air it early. And the Marlins are going to get like 4 or 6 of them. They were like, yeah, sure, do our games. Oh, okay. So the first one was the Mets game yesterday. But this coming Sunday, they're doing Tigers Royals.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now there's one to get excited for. Boy, if there's anything you want to get up early for, Tigers Royals.
Right.
Get the TVs on.
So they're not going to have any announcers.
They're going announcerless game?
From the booth. Now, apparently they're going to have a couple of reporters. One who covers like one team, one who covers the other, and they're going to like work the crowd. Going to talk to like fans occasionally during the game. They may talk to a scout behind home plate. Who is it you're here for? What are you looking? Blah, blah, blah. But there will not be a call of the game. And there will be significant stretches, apparently, where it's just the sights and sounds of a ball game.
Interesting. I mean, it sounds silly, but with those two teams, they better have the public address announcer piped in.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're not going to know who anybody is. It's one thing you do that in a Red Sox-Yankee game when most everybody's got a good idea who's on the two teams. We're talking about Tigers and Royals. These are two AAA teams. If that.
Well, and they said, listen, if it was Mets-Dodgers, we wouldn't be doing this. I mean, they just flat out said. But since it's Royals and Tigers, we're going to try something interesting. Ahmad Fareed, who grew up in Michigan and is the MLB Sunday leadoff host and in-game reporter, will be joined by Tigers analyst Craig Monroe and NBC Sports' Brittany Yurton. And they'll be in the stands, talking to fans, talking to a scout if they're there.
Are you interested?
Yes. Now, means I'd have to stream Peacock, which doesn't interest me. But yeah, I would like to watch an inning or two and be like, okay, how are you going to pull this off? Yeah. And listen, long downtime in baseball. So to me, it could show that you really need the play-by-play announcer and analyst in the booth.
I think you do. I think this would be a really tough watch.
Right.
But I mean, you have me interested.
Like the sport in which I think you can do it, believe it or not, is hockey. There's a ton of action, hockey. I think you could do you could do an experimental broadcast of hockey without a play-by-play guy. Yeah, you wouldn't know the players and what have you, but I mean, you'd be able to tell, which team has the puck and whether it's a great save. And I mean, it's all right there. And the first period last night took 28 minutes. I mean, they had to
jam in two breaks really late.
Right. I mean, they went 7+ minutes of game action without a break in the first period last night of Lightning Avs. Besides, I mean, McDonough's not identifying the players on either team anyway. So, except for about 3 or 4 of them. All right. So I just wanted to throw that in. A pseudo announcerless baseball game Sunday, Tigers Royals.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
This is the shortest one of these I've ever had. I had to double check last night. Did I miss something? But there's not. This is a pretty boring day in history. Start in 1924. Walter Hagen wins his second British Open. 1929, the first color TV demo was performed by the Bell Laboratories in New York City. 31, Ryder Cup. Walter Hagen captains his second victorious American team. 2 years later, Great Britain wins. It would be their last cup victory for 34 years. Jump all the way to 71, where Joanne Carter wins the U.S. Women's Open. Today in 1972, the Atari Company was founded. Without that, where would our childhoods have been? Not so much David's, but mine.
Right.
He was reading books. I was playing video games. Figure that out. 1973, Live and Let Die, the first Bond film to star Roger Moore, was released. Maybe the greatest boat chase ever. 1987, the 15th Bond film, The Living Daylights, first one with Timothy Dalton, premieres. 1988, Tyson KOs Michael Spinks in 91 seconds.
Remember exactly where I was. I paid for it. The Armory in Scranton. Walked in, sat down. All right. And there was a couple of prelims, and we were there for it, but we were drinking and just talking to people. And I remember, okay, we go back to our seats. The fight's beginning. Sat down and knocked him down the first time. And I reached back and started putting my jacket on. And the guy goes, what are you doing? And I go, oh, this one's over. Next punch, it was over.
Next punch, it was over. That's right. 1990, Jose Canseco signs a record $4.7 million contract with the A's, and Derek Coleman would start getting his fines ready because he was the first pick by the New Jersey Nets.
There you go.
This one really for Felipe. 2001, Kwame Brown, first pick for the Wizards. Anytime I can get a first overall pick in there for you, I figured I'd make you happy with that. That shows you how little was going on. And a year ago, Nelly Korda wins her first major, winning the Women's PGA at the Atlanta Athletic Club.
That was Jordan who took Kwame Brown, right?
Yes, it was.
Did you see Jordan's apparently rehiring the coach he fired 4 years ago?
Yes, because no one apparently wanted the job.
Well, no, Mike D'Antoni apparently wanted the job, and Jordan decided he'd rather go back to Steve Clifford.
I took him to the playoffs.
Twice.
Those born today that are no longer with us, Helen Keller, Dick the Bruiser, and Ross Perot. Those that are still with us, Brad Childress and Jim Edmonds, Toby Maguire, Khloe Kardashian, and her.
By the way, we basically began the Korean conflict today in 1950. Truman ordered forces to Korea. So,
all right.
Go. Which, if nothing else, gave us MASH.
Dick the Bruiser? Pause. Who the hell was that?
So, what do you think Dick the Bruiser was?
A WWE wrestler?
Well, a professional wrestler. There was no WWE back then, but one of the more famous wrestlers from that early parts of wrestling.
Was he like a luchador?
I like a who?
Who?
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
The good was tough today, but we go to Evanston, Illinois, where it looks like a long-time ordinance may be dropped, and they are going to allow topless sunbathing on the Lake Michigan beaches. I don't know how that can be bad. For the bad, we go to the Indian River County beach here in Florida, where someone discovered an old landmine on the beach. Didn't explode. Don't know where it really came from. They think that it washed up there. They have no idea, but the exposure to salt water was minimal. It still was going to work. And is that a landmine in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? And finally, the ugly. We go to Attica, New York, where a couple are facing a $500 fine after they took their pet raccoon to the pet store and tried to get food for him. A store worker ratted them out. Would you rat out somebody that had a pet raccoon that walked into, Petco to pick out food for it? Because apparently it's illegal to have a pet raccoon.
Well, I know that we have a raccoon that's hanging out in the back of our house.
Have you named the raccoon?
I haven't, no, but my wife's feeding the 3 stray cats, and there's a neighborhood raccoon that realized
that there's only 2 cats now.
Okay, no. Here's the funny thing: they all make room for each other. The raccoon will wait until the cats are done eating. Then the raccoon comes over and finishes an entire plate. The cats are like sunbathing around the raccoon.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 27th, 2022.
I look outside. Wife says, "What's going on?" I said, "The raccoon's eating."
Wild Kingdom, man.
Yeah. I will say we are going through a lot more cat food these days than we used to be.
No!
Yeah. Yeah. The cats, they eat and then they, they'll come back, but, they don't necessarily eat the whole thing. They don't eat like I do. A raccoon, I noticed, eats like I do. Like, I don't ever have leftovers.
Raccoon just takes care of business?
Right. If I were an animal and you put a plate of food out, well, I would devour everything that's on the plate. Doesn't matter how much food you put on the plate. I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to eat. I would eat. Me and the raccoon, I can relate to the raccoon. Cats, they're finicky. Put a plate of food out there, they may eat like a third of it. Then they're like, I'll be back for more. That was before we had the raccoon. Now it may not be more when you come back.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I don't have those cats. I have 2 eating machines. They'll whack the scoop out of your hand to get to their food. They've both broken into where the food is and opened the food.
I am impressed that the raccoon waits for the cats, though.
I'm impressed the raccoon hasn't eaten the cats.
I mean, he looks at the cats kind of like, no, you guys have priority. You let me know when you're done. I just want to, blend in here.
Well, nice to always have a little Wild Kingdom at the house if you can.
Right. Well, that's what happens when you feed strays. Djokovic is about to lose the second set to some unranked Korean player. Remember, he hasn't lost a match at Wimbledon in 5 years. He won the 2018, 19, and 21 titles, and they didn't play in 2020. So Djokovic hasn't been beaten in 5 years. He's in danger of losing the second set here. So, and as of right now, he's not allowed in the United States. Unless they change, because this will be his last major. He didn't play Australia. All right. Got beat by Nadal in the quarters of the French. And as of right now, he can't enter the U.S. to play the U.S. Open.
Crazy, crazy times. And
considering a year ago, he was at the U.S. Open trying to complete the Grand Slam and made it all the way to the final.
Right. He may not end up with the most majors because he can't play in some of them.
Yeah, no question. And Nadal's playing Wimbledon for the first time in 3 years. Heck, he's halfway to the Grand Slam. Serena's also in action. If she makes it to the 4th round, which is that second Monday, right now, the seeded player in her draw, Coco Gauff.
Well, we shall see. This will be fun to watch to see if Serena can just capture any sort of magic.
Oh, if she could make it to week 2, it'd be a huge story. 40 years old, hasn't played in a year, and then playing the hotshot American teen who made it to the French Open final. You've got obviously the standard bearer of U.S. women's tennis, if not just flat tennis, against the future right here. I mean, think about it. How many majors did, 22-year age difference. Goodness. But would love to see it happen. Think the sport needs to see it happen.
Would be very nice, to say the least. What do we got today? We got no Rays, no Marlins. Oh, no, Marlins are at the Cards tonight. Twins and Guardians get back at it. That's a pretty good little series right there.
Did you see the story, by the way? The Twins pitching coach is leaving for LSU. He's leaving Thursday. Why? They're done playing. What do they need you for? I'm being serious. You can't finish the season?
I don't know, but college baseball is spending all kinds of money.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the guy from Michigan went to Clemson for a ton of money because they wanted to make sure he didn't end up at I think he had 2 jobs he was going to, but the Michigan coach went to Clemson, got big money.
Well, and he got that job because Florida State ended up hiring the Notre Dame coach who was going to go to Clemson. That's why Florida State fired Mike Martin Jr. and hired him.
Right. And now you get this pitch. So, I mean, college baseball's particularly in the SEC, but they've got some money right now.
But it's remarkable. He's staying for the all-important Twins Guardians series and then leaving. Well, why can't you stay for the whole season? Honestly.
Yeah, if he was leaving, he'd be gone today. If that was his choice, goodbye now.
And apparently he's getting a $500,000 raise to go to LSU. And think about that. How bad of a look is that for the Twins that your pitching coach is getting a significant raise to go to LSU? That's number one. Number two, he's leaving you, and he's leaving during the season. It'd be like, wait a minute, why can't you stay?
David, he's got to recruit, apparently. I don't know. But for $500,000 more, I'd be leaving right now, too.
But he's like, no, I'll stay for the Guardian series. And then you can replace me.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin to talk the National Football League on the show tomorrow. We thank you so much for listening. We are Miller and Moulton, and this is the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourself